Hey, listen, without actually getting to speak to you, with you, at you, prior to this meeting, I don't know all about your dreams or your goals. There's Cindy. Good morning. I don't know all about your dreams or your goals. I don't know your values or your visions, but I can tell you this. If you're watching this, that means you are definitely in the top percentage of the profession. And that would go for any streaming, any presentation, any seminar, any consultant, any book. Anytime you advance yourself with new data, new knowledge, you're definitely ahead of the curve. So thank you for that. And, we all have a story. It doesn't matter. What matters is where we're going and what we do next. And, it's like you're obviously here because you want to advance. You want to investigate a new service. And so what we do today is going to affect everything down the road. So it's important to, have these goals and values. I want to show you enough today about this service. And then you have to link it with your goals, your dreams, your visions, your purposes, and your values. And hopefully, if we're in alignment, we'll get to work with each other. But I think we should go ahead and get started with the presentation. I did put a nice slideshow together for you. And thanks for being here. Let's go ahead and just get started for you. Now, yes. Me or them? There's a button on the top. It says view. And what would happen next, Tony? Click on what? You know how to enlarge your slides? Speaker view. If you click the view button on your screen and then you click on speaker view, you'll enlarge your slides. It might be a little bit more comfortable for you to see bigger slides. All right. Well, go ahead. Let's go ahead and get started. Uh-oh. What happened? Low ball offer. They offered how much? I play I play this slide when I make my present. Have you seen this before, Tony? I play this slide when I am addressing attorneys. And this one and one other slide you'll see later, and they automatically bust out laughing. I'm going to, all right, never mind. Let's go. Let's stick with the slide. So I'm in church, and our pastor says, you all have to get this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks about, how our habits and our systems drive us. And I want to just tell you something you're going to really appreciate. I put this program together as a DFY, which is called the Done For You system. It is the next level before a franchise. So you have a business development program, you have a license agreement program, a Done For You program, and then a franchise. So I expect to franchise this thing in 2022. And the good news is you're getting in at the charter membership, which is ridiculously low. You could not perform all this for the fee that we charge that is ridiculously affordable. And I did it so that I could ramp up users during the charter because I need the charter before we can franchise. So I want you to know we actually completed our charter enrollment in July, but I advertised this through the end of the year. So we're going to continue. And then next year we can franchise. And what's important in that is that it's a system. Now, here's what James Clear said in his book, Atomic Habits, that was suggested to us by our preacher. He says, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. In other words, we run system-run businesses. Now, systems run businesses and people run systems. So I want to show you how either you or a staff member can run this and make it effortless. And believe me, it's the way we've structured it. It's literally effortless. If within an hour, you can complete the audit and you will be prepaid $1,500. So it's really a nice service. But here's the deal. You're in personal injury and you've either got to do what everyone else is doing and do it better, or you have to do what no one else is doing and not invite comparison. Before I left this morning, I had a brief discussion with Leela, my partner, and I said, Leela, there's several people that think they've got the secrets of how to get attorney referrals. And I said, I'm going to show you in a little bit what constitutes those secrets, but You have to have something that no one else has. It has to be very strong. It has to fix a problem, and it has to be so bold that the attorneys know if they do not use you, they're going to lose. So you got to do what everybody else is doing. If you're going to be in PI, do it better, or do it so that you don't invite comparison. I've always loved being the underdog chiropractor because I had to work harder. And I finally discovered that orthos and neuros and pain management docs are not going to work as hard as we do because they don't have to. Their signature is all they need. And then they'll send in a 1.5-page narrative, which is literally useless. So I want to show you today a beautiful system that is going to be better than what anyone else is doing. And it's going to be so strong that no one's going to be able to make a comparison. So let me see something over here. For example, Dan, you're in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. So I did the demographics for all of you. Cindy from Franklin, North Carolina. I did all of your. I got a whole page here full of people's demographics. I want to go over that with you, and I'll show that to you a little bit later. But I mean, I want you to know, what's going on in your community. So we want to do something that nobody else is doing. We want to be better than other people, and that's how you get ahead. Now, if you go back to some of our great leaders, Abraham Lincoln says, the best way to predict your future is just to create it. And that's Napoleon Hill. He says, opportunity often comes disguised in the form of either a misfortune or a temporary defeat. Now, there's a thing called actionable motivation, and when somebody else takes an action that causes you to suffer some temporary defeat, it can actually open an opportunity for you. And that's what the insurance companies have done. Remember when Jimmy Fallon does thank you, his little skit? So I did a little thank you. It says here, on behalf of myself, my peers, and our families, this is to the insurance companies. Thank you, insurance companies, for your greed in unfairly disputing, denying, and lowballing injury claims. This has created an opportunity for me to add a new way to do business of conducting audits to reverse unfair undervaluation on injury claims and add 6 figures of income to my business. Thank you, insurance companies. Well, I appreciate that a lot. That's the opportunity the insurance companies have created for us because they deny, they dispute, they delay, and they defend. And there is a way around it you'll see in this presentation. So we don't want to wait for opportunities. We want to create them. So I'm going to show you a little something from T. Harv Eckert. He wrote several books. One of them called Millionaire Mind. Oh, that one's Millionaire Mind for network marketers. But he's got Millionaire Mind for CEOs. And basically what he says is if you want to be rich, give people what they want and need. But if you want to be wealthy, find out their problems and fix them. So in appreciation for T. Harv Eckert, I have operated off of this since the early 80s, and I found it to be very true. Now, I got my license since 1979, but I didn't learn this until 1982, and it made a big difference. But you have to give people what they need and want. So we're talking about lawyers. Give lawyers what they need and want and fix their lawyer problems. Now, there are 3 keys to unlock money happiness that they say, and your money decision. Tony, I think this is the old slide. Huh? Oh, here it is. Okay, thank you. 1, give people, here are the 3 keys to unlock money happiness. 1, give people what they need and want. 2, find out their problems and fix them. And 3, allow your money decisions to reflect your goals and your values. So you'll have that money happiness. Now, what we're talking about today is how to fix a major problem in personal injury. When I tell you how many claims are undervalued, you'll appreciate this. This is a major problem, and I know that you know that. But we also want to simultaneously create an opportunity for ourselves that generates high profit, becomes a revenue stream for us as we solve these problems. So money is going to be the reward for fixing problems. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we're going to take a look at how audit services can actually transform your practice, your business, into a revenue-generating enterprise. So I've always looked for new things to do. And I like doing these live presentations because there's always an emotion that comes up that's different from the week before, the month before. But I remember when I had my first house, and I had my first house and my first office, and as money came in, I wanted to reinvest into the office. And as money came in, my wife wanted me to reinvest in living room furniture, which we did not have any of. And so I'm trying to make this thing with her. I said, listen, if I get an ultrasound machine, I can make, back then it was $20 a procedure. I can make $20, and I got 100 patients, and I'll make $2,000, and I could buy a couch with that money. But if I use this money to buy a couch and I don't get that money, so I just couldn't wait to get new things and new stuff into my office, and especially, I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm running a 20,000 square foot clinic here on major highway in Florida on Route 19, and I mean, I went all the way. I had a surgery suite in there. I had 2 recovery rooms, so I always liked adding and adding and adding. So when you unlock anything new that enables you to strike a little balance between all the reasons that you want to go to work and be happy, you're going to reach that happiness quotient. You're going to be in a pretty good place. This is my office. This is what I'm delivering. I'm so happy. No matter what you add. So you're attending this presentation in part because you want to add new services, but also because you want to be happy and you want to fix more problems, and that's going to make you happy. So they say happiness is an inside job, and happy can make you money, but money can't make you happy. Well, I think we could all disagree with that. Money sure does make you happy. Well, who needs audits anyway? Well, I'll tell you what, it's a very demand-intensive market. There is no competition, and I see to it that you don't have any competition because I protect your territory, which is why I ran all these demographics, Give you an example here. Franklin, North Carolina, zip code 27248 203. 316-317-233, 355-298-350-283-215. Oak Creek, 53154-132-108-402. Manville, 37801. I mean, I got all of your zip codes. We did all the research. I'm going to tell you in a bit how many accidents occur every month, how many of those people go to a doctor, how many go to a lawyer, how many lawyers there are, what's the percentage of undervalued claims, what's the predictable availability of a business in your community. We want to know everything before we get in, but I want you to know this is a demand-intensive market, and you won't have any competition because I won't put anybody else in your zip codes. So you have an opportunity for high net income. What's a high net income? 6 figures plus is high net. And you can improve your economy of scale regarding your staff if you recruit them to help you, and this returns an exceptional return on investment. So what are we spending on car crashes? Why is it important? So government reports tell us cost of car crashes. Now, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said we spent over $1 trillion in 2019 on auto-related accidents. Business Insider said autonomous cars, self-driving cars are not going to prevent the most common accidents. And there are studies being done all the time. Now, Google came out and said, look, by 2025, 84% of all automobile accidents are going to be caused by autonomous cars, robo-cars, adding $700 billion to accident costs. Now, if we did $1 trillion in 2019, we topped $1 trillion in 2020, got to wait for 2021. But what's going to happen is by 2025, we will double the number of auto accidents. You're in a rapidly growing industry. And it's exciting because, listen, I don't like to see people get in car accidents, but when they do have these minor accidents, I want to be their treating doctor. And for now, I want to audit the claims where there's unfair undervaluation or lowballs, and you'll see how we're going to be doing that. Now, check this out. You ready? 65% of everybody gets in an accident is going to have an unfair undervaluation of their injury claims. 65%. And those lowball claims just sit on the desks of those doctors and lawyers for long periods of time because they have no place to go. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what to do. So they sit there. Now you can come in. Now listen to this. First, you're going to be able to offer them a review for free, a free review, where you're going to send them a report telling them exactly what can be done. There isn't any lawyer who would not want a free review of an undervalued claim that's been sitting on my desk of which I know nothing of what to do to fix. So we really hit the mark on this. Now, chiropractic doesn't work if people don't get into accidents and have the problem of subluxations. We don't get the personal injury. But now, in personal injury, audits don't work if the claims aren't lowballed. Now, you may have had claims yourself lowballed. You may have had lawyers ask you to cut your bill. That's what I'm talking about, undervaluation. So people have been lowballed, and lawyers who represent them are our new niche target consumer. We're going to go after the lawyers who've got the lowball cases sitting on their desk, a new niche. So I mentioned the demographic analysis. I have completed them for all of you, and I'm going to be emailing them to you as soon as this presentation is over. So you're going to see your market size, the number of auto accidents per month, number of attorneys in your DMA, the number of potential referrers, the availability to perform audits. You're going to see all the information you need specific for your community. But here's the good news. I built your demographic territory on 100,000 lives. So how far out do we have to go from your treating location? How far out do we have to go until we have a demographic that encompasses 100,000 lives? I've got an office in Pinellas County here where I had to go out 8 miles to get 100,000 lives. Got another one over in St. Pete. We had to go out about 5,000 miles, and in Tampa, 3,000 miles. I'm not 3 miles in Tampa, 5 miles in St. Pete, 8 miles in Clearwater, until I had 100,000. Well, when I built your demographics, and I did this for all of you, I went out from your office in a circumference to encapsulate 100,000 lives. Now, you could do this at 35,000 lives. So I tripled it, and I gave you 100,000 lives so you would have a tremendous opportunity, a great advantage, and protect your territory. Now, for every 100,000 lives, there are going to be 2,500 auto accidents per month. These are people that will report their injuries, go to a doctor and a lawyer in that month. Did you know you had within 100,000 lives, within a radius of 100,000 lives, which is your territory, did you know 2,500 people were getting into an accident, going to a doctor and a lawyer? Now listen, if I could get you just 0.005% increase in that market share, you could do about $250,000 a year more money. All it takes is 0.005% increase in your market share. So let's just get through this presentation and talk about how I'm going to get you new business. Now, I'm not going to get you $750,000 worth, but we are going to hit 6 figures with this new business. So, of the accident victims that occur in your demographic market area, and I said there were 2,500 of them, of those 2,500, 1,625 are going to be candidates for an audit with undervaluations and lowballs. 1,625. Those are the cases sitting on the desks of the lawyers that are stuck. They don't know what to do. It's like, darling, guess what? You see? That's the other slide lawyers laugh at. Did you see this one, Tony? You see it now? All right. There you go. Okay. By the way, if anybody's got a question or you want to talk or chat, we can interrupt this for you. We'll wait. At the end, we're going to do Q&A. But I'm so sorry it's a one-way communication here. I don't know how else to make this presentation. So we're target marketing because the riches are in the niches. So we want to create a little niche within our community and a new service to fix the problem that attorneys are having. Now, case audit is a real review. It's got a CPT code. It's got a fee. It'll be paid by insurers. It's a real deal thing here. So what chiropractors haven't realized is that you could perform these audits. Up until now, nurses have been doing these audits, and they charge $1,500, and they're all over the country, and lawyers pay for theirs to come in and look at the claim. But they can only change or make suggestions, and they mostly look at the CPT codes, the ICD codes, and they'll add ICD codes where they're missing, and because a lot of doctors don't put them, and then they make suggestions just to see if there was any medical errors or overutilization. But they don't do much. We are going to do the most exhaustive, extensive audit that you could ever imagine, which is why we're ranked so high. Now, I don't know if you've heard of something called MECE, M-E-C-E. It means mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. And it's a standard that audits have to adhere to. So we built in mutually exclusive, which means you're the only one, and MECE, collectively exhaustive. Every stone's been overturned to audit the claim. You'll see what we're going to be auditing as we progress. But I wanted you to know, fixing problems, that's where you get your business opportunities. And if you identify a problem, then create a solution to fix it by adding a new service or a new system, then you can add a new revenue stream. Hopefully this meets with your happiness quotient. Now, Napoleon Hill says, every problem opens the door to an opportunity. Every problem you can solve is an opportunity to strengthen your business, but also your position in the medical legal community. So I'm going to put you in a position now, which is called repositioning, on something called the perceptual map, which we'll talk about later, where you're going to actually change the conceptual analysis attorneys have of you. And this is another aspect. So I'm going to increase your overall respectability, visibility, and momentum. Now, it's sometimes difficult or challenging to build up a good income stream. I always look for new business opportunities, you know, aside from the real estate and the precious metals and the Bitcoin and everything else. I like franchising. So Leela and I went to look at franchises. I looked at car washes. I looked at Dunkin' Donuts. I looked at Burger King, Dairy Queen. I looked at Papa John's. I looked at Subways, pizzas, Subways, car washes, coffee, ice cream, and burgers. All of them starting costs at $250,000. None of them net more than $84,000 a year. So when they say it's difficult to get a six-figure income, it is. The only franchise right now in the food industry that produces that six-figure income is McDonald's, but they start at $1.2 million, and to net $100,000, you got to gross $2 million. A lot of work, a lot of food, a lot of support, a lot of people, a lot of staff, parking, insurance, liabilities. With this, all you need is your laptop, and I'm going to show you the kind of income you can generate in just a minute. But the best opportunities to build wealth or get ahead are the ones that are hidden in plain view. I mean, if you're treating personal injury patients, you might as well add audit services, not just for your own claims, but for the other claims that the attorneys have sitting that are lowball. You can fix that now. Why not? So the irony becomes that the insurance company's unfairness has given way for us to have a new business opportunity called auditing claims to reverse their undervaluation. So, you know, it takes a special eye to spot an opportunity and a special kind of drive and desire to implement opportunities that yield a profit. Now, so that's what you are. And I do want you to be the fish out of water. You want to be the only one that can provide this. Do you know what a unique value proposition is? Number one, it's the benefits. So you've got to be able to stand up there and say, hey, if you use me, this is what you get. That's called a bold propositional statement. You got to have something that is not just what's needed and wanted, but fixes a problem, number one. Number two, for a unique value proposition, you got to be the only one who has it. And that'll give you the number three. They got to come to you. They have to switch brands and use you, or they won't get their problem fixed. So you're the fish out of water. An opportunity then is created by identifying a problem and solving it with technology, increasing your labor productivity with technology. So let's take a look at current rate of productivity measured by a change of output using audits, okay? So let's just say I'm going to have 1 hour's worth of work, and I can do an audit in that hour. If I do 2 a week, or what about 3 a week? Let's just go with 2 a week and take a look at an economy of scale. What it means is that you have a current rate of productivity. I'll give you an example. Let's just use massages as an example. And say you bill out $95 an hour for a massage, or $95 for a half hour, whatever, whatever you bill out, okay? Now you bring in audits and you can bill that at $1,500 for about an hour's worth of work. Now, that's a $1,400 change in output per hour, or a cheaper capital, right? Cheaper labor, or a reduction in production costs. It's an economy of scale. It makes a lot of sense, right? All right. What do you want to do? You want to do a massage for 1 hour, or you want to do an audit and instead of 95, make 1,500. It's the same hour. Now you measure and you manage your return of investment for your employee development, and you can teach your employee, and we can teach your employee how to do this so you don't have to. Okay, so if you go to college, you take a labor productivity economic growth course, it says labor productivity, that's going to be the value each employee creates per their unit of time or their unit of input or per hour. and economic growth is putting an employee to use to deliver something new that generates more income. Okay? So look at your staff and tell me there's somebody you can think of right now that can help you with this, because the increased knowledge and skill that your staff acquire, develop, and engage adds to your human capital development. Now, for starters, you could do this on your own. I'm sure you're going to find an hour somewhere during the week or evening or weekend. You can do this at home by the pool. All you need is a laptop. So imagine you're going to take one person and you're going to ask them to spend 1 hour doing an audit, change your output by $1,400 for that 1 hour. All right, you got to look at that. So now you need to know skills are going to be the global currency for 2022. Now, I've broken this down a little bit so you can get an example. We're going to say $1,500 in fee, and let's say you do 2 of these things a week, 2 audits a week, 2 hours a week, $3,000. So you're increasing productivity by taking 1 hour by 2 days a week, which is 2 hours a week, which changes your productivity by 5%. That's all you're doing, making a 5% change in output and productivity. That generates $156,000 annually in gross. Now let's talk about your net. The expenses to do this, okay? Let's see what you're going to net. You're going to net, ready? $119,600 is your triple net if you do 2 audits per week. Now, I said we've got 100,000 lives in your territory. Next, I want to show you, and I'm going to give you your demographics, and I'll send you that email. But I'm also going to show you how many plaintiffs' attorneys you have in that same demographic area. Okay? And I'm going to build you an attorney database consisting of 100 plaintiffs' attorneys. We are going to reach out and call and talk to and ask and explain and get opt-in permission from 100 plaintiffs' attorneys in your community who want to be connected to you and want to know about this service and who have a high interest. And we're going to build you a database of 100 attorneys. My question is, out of 100 attorneys, do you think at any given week, 2 of them will want to send you an audit? Out of 100, all you need is 2 a week to net $119,600. Now, the key to this thing is reaching those attorneys and educating them to the point where they understand your unique value proposition. You're not giving them what they need and want. You're fixing a problem. You're the only one that can do it. There's no place else to turn. And I'm going to give you all these stats and numbers as we progress, okay? Remember, this is a done-for-you system getting ready to be franchised. And can't be franchised unless your system is vetted. So I'll show you our vetting towards the end of the presentation. But just so you know, every day is a bank account. Time is our currency. Nobody's rich, nobody's poor. Every one of us has the same 24 hours. Now, we also have our own, belief system and our own level of havingness. And, I wish I could get up to the level of havingness of Oprah Winfrey or Donald Trump, but I haven't quite reached that. But I got a pretty high havingness, and I know you do too. And I'm going to show you how to even increase it because we've all got the same time frame. Now, watch this, and I apologize, and I'm sad, but here's the deal. This comes from Forbes. Forbes did in the United States jobs for chiropractic. They looked at the average chiropractic salary, and look what they came up with. $60,794 a year, average base salary in the United States for a chiropractor. Now look, at the bottom it says 10% are at $40K, 90% are at $109K, median are at 61 cents. So at least they go up to 109. For 90% of the chiros are doing 109,000. 10% are doing 40,000, but the average is 61. Let's look at this. They broke this down by state. What the average wage, annual wage for chiropractors are. Can you see those numbers? So I asked myself this question. I said, man, if that's the reality, then literally what I'm teaching exceeds the mean annual average wage for most chiropractors. In just 2, maybe 3 hours a week, This is going to exceed the mean annual wage of the average chiropractor. Something doesn't add up, but hey, these are statistics, and that's Forbes. Anyway, if you want more currency in your bank account, then perform more services and, might as well perform more per hour. Now, today seems like a great day to learn something new. And once again, I want to thank you for being here. Let's get on with this thing because you're looking at demand and supply. There is a problem in personal injury. The number one problem is low ball offers, unfair undervaluation. There is a high demand with no competition to fix this problem, and you can be the only service supplier in your community. One of the reasons audits work is because it fixes the number one problem that attorneys have. Now, attorneys have been ordering audits on these injury claims for decades, but we've been missing it. It is a subspecialty, which you can put within your business, a business within a business, and you can create a new revenue stream opportunity. And we've been missing this until now. So there are two types of informed evidence examinations. One, the physical examination of the injured patient, and two, examination of the medical records. So audit skills and training and tools are what you need if you want to do the audits, and I'm going to show you how to do them. So we're training. It's all about the training. It puts you in the business of paper case audit reviews of injury claims. It's about the training. But if I couldn't train you and it couldn't be done simply and quickly and fast and proficiently and efficiently, then this wouldn't be a system. So we've got coaching, we've got teaching, we've got the knowledge we're going to transfer to you. I'm actually... Here's the secret to how and why this whole thing works. You ready? It's a software. And the software license fee is $99 a month. So it's, all right, so you can afford that. There are tools and there is experience and there are skills. We're going to give you the skills. Eventually you'll have the experience and the training. Wait until I tell you about our training programs because we have webinars every week. We have courses online. We have manuals. We have live trainings here in my hometown of Tampa twice a year. We have mentors, and I've got somebody I'm going to assign to you. Her name is Mrs. Peggy White. She's going to walk you through. First, you watch the training video, then you get a meeting with her. You will have hand-holding throughout everything. Training is the key to this thing. Now, when I franchise this, I've got to go to the franchise division of the Attorney General's office in every state and give them a full report of everybody in the charter. Everything, the time they've been in it, how much money they make, every single thing. And so I need this to be a box office hit for everybody. And therefore, the way to that is to train you. No problem. All right. Now, not sure if you can see this or not. I put arrows on to show you what we've got available. That's just a home page on the actual software you're going to get. See, the first arrow says case training video. That's the first thing you're going to look at when you get in the program. Then the next one is a complete walkthrough. And then the next one is recorded webinars. Every week, now for almost an entire year, every week there's been a recorded webinar with the name of the webinar, a content of that webinar, so that you can go back if there's any subject or topic and click on that training. So we've done and we have mentor programs, so we've done a great job. Now, one of the reasons why this service works for you is because, you don't have to do it. You can have your staff do it. As long as somebody's a knowledgeable observer, and since we're doing the training, you're going to become a knowledgeable observer. You can do audits. Your staff can do audits. Here's the game. The insurance companies are always looking for ways to contain costs, and they're going to deny, dispute, delay, and defend. So they've created software. 27 years ago, Colossus was introduced January in 1992. And they were built on algorithms that are based on cost containment methods to intentionally lower settlement value. Now, since Colossus, 80 similar programs have been created and are used every day by insurers. They have names that are mnemonics. For example, ACE, Advancing Claims Excellence. CCPR, Core Claim Process Redesign. ACME, Achieving Claim Management Excellence. ICE, Injury Claims Evaluator. MIST, Minor Injury Soft Tissue, 80 software. Every single insurance company uses the software to determine the value of the claim. Now, the problem is they can tune those softwares, and they can do whatever they want. And what happens is they will render a value that's less than what the computer determines the claim to be worth, and that's how they undervalue and lowball claims. There's a regulatory act to prevent that, and one of the things we do in audits is we engage this process so that we reverse it And that's why we're so effective. I'll get into that a little bit more later, but you know that they've got hasty computer algorithms that do the work and they undervalue claims, and that's all they're intended to do. Now, there's so many reports that, I could spend hours, but this one comes from C-SPAN and the Consumer Federation of America, where they put out a report as a wake-up call to consumers, doctors, lawyers, and regulators to let them be aware of the fact that the computer claim softwares can be manipulated to produce unjustifiably lowball payments to their consumers. I mean, they will produce payments that are even lower than they state that they're worth in their policy. It's totally unfair. In fact, out of Atlanta, Georgia, a press release came out and said auto insurers play hardball in minor crash claims. Said if you've been in a car accident, chances are you're going to be in for the fight of your life against your insurance company, even if the accident was no fault of your own. And this story highlights the 4 Ds. Remember I told you? Dispute, deny, delay, and defend. So audits are now being performed to counter their softwares and reverse undervaluations. And it's being done, and it's effective. You'll see why. Now, regulations came about, and insurers can no longer hide behind their shield of insurance company, and they can now be held accountable for their policy language and to the law under audits. In fact, you can sue an adjuster. I've been doing this for a long time. I have a guy that works for me. His name is Andrew, and he's one of our paralegals. And Andrew's wife was in an accident not wearing her seatbelt, so her face hit the steering wheel. She had $9,000 worth of dental work done. The adjuster denied it. So we sued the adjuster personally, civilly, in a court. And when we were there, we asked the adjuster, before a judge, we asked the adjuster if he referred the patient to a dentist. And he said, no. And then we said, are you a dentist? And he said, no. You're not licensed to render a dental diagnosis? No. And I said, well, then you don't have the right to make a decision as to whether or not dental services are required. You could have referred her to a dentist, but you didn't. And so what you've done was second guess a medical opinion. That's an unfair claim settlement practice act. The judge ruled that the insurance adjuster had to pay the $9,000 in dentals. So Geico sends us a letter and says, with a check for full policy coverage limits of $100,000, if we would agree to release the adjuster and not go after bad faith. Well, by paying full policy coverage limits and asking not to sue for bad faith, in exchange, that's bad faith. So we sued for bad faith, and the award was $1.2 million. So, we do have rights, okay, in any event. So I'm talking to you about a law that protects consumers under the following acts. The main act is called the Unfair Claim Settlement Practice Acts. Plus, there are ethics codes that an adjuster is supposed to adhere to. Now, the biggest reason, however, the biggest thing we come up against when we find why cases are undervalued usually is because there's missing data. And this is the part I'm going to show you that's going to be a little bit shocking. So what our software is a search engine to find what's missing that can add value, okay? So I want to introduce you to that missing data imputation. And when you look at this and you'll see missing spaces, missing values, the softwares will drop these values from the data, but our software will find what's missing, add it, and impute the value into the claim, increasing the claim value. So the insurance adjusters aren't always getting all the facts that they need to make proper determination. I will explain, because most doctors and lawyers don't know about decision points. Do you? All right, let's see. You know what Boolean logic is? Boolean. Dr. Boolean said yes or no, it is or it isn't. That's Boolean logic. And understanding insurers' personal injury claim valuation softwares and formulas means you need to know a little bit about this Boolean logic, or, and, not, true, false, yes, no. It's quick, it's simple, it's easy, it's yes or no. So here are the decision points that the insurers have created. 14,000 plus value drivers, 27,000 plus severity drivers. You have to ask yourself, do you know what they are? 26,000 standard multipliers, plus there are enhanced multipliers. 33 liability drivers, 15 additional increased multipliers. You know what that is? 67,880 decision points. That's not the end of it. We've also got 58 case maximizers, prolonged modifiers, injury severity types. I also mentioned enhanced multipliers. When I do my presentation to attorneys, I ask how many of you can list the case maximizers. None of them can list even one. Now, we have an electronic bulletin series that we send out to our attorneys. In one of the series, we talk about the 58 case maximizers. And let me tell you, attorneys greatly appreciate receiving this because they now get the knowledge they need. They still can't do anything without you, but we're going to educate them, and they're going to change their conceptual analysis of you, and you're going to wind up closer to the center of the perceptual map where you need to be by these new skills. So let's go over this decision point. That's where the adjuster makes decisions because his interface is waiting for with drop-up boxes and pop-down screens. Now, the insurer's software can make up to 600 decisions. When we built our software, which started in 2010 and cost me over $5 million, when we built it to match the same 600 decisions that the insurer's software can make. Now, do you know how many categories there should be in an injury claim? There should be a minimum of 21 medical sections. I'm going to show you where you may have 6 or 7 or 8, tops 9 out of the 21. So I want you to pay attention what constitutes value and how to add it into a claim, which starts with what sections do we need to add. So you've got to exchange complex data, interface it in order to input value. Now you're looking at, on the right side of that split screen, something that would resemble a narrative report. I know everybody thinks their narratives are the best narratives. But then on the left, you see this more like drop-down screens, pop-up boxes. So the adjusters look for information that you submit, and then they plug it into their screen, okay? But like I said, there should be 21 medical sections. If you've only got 6, 7, 8, or 9, you're missing a lot of sections, which misses a lot of value. So this is the formula the insurance companies actually use. It's called the decision point to dollar. Translation, percentage multiplier formula, where decision points translate to dollar. So in an average bodily injury claim with 6 to 9 sections, you're missing the rest of the 21 sections of decision points. If those decision points are not contained in your audit or in your demand or in your medical records, then the windows of the insurance company software don't open, and you lose the compensation for those decision points, and you lose payment associated with those injuries and those factors. If you don't have those decision points, you lose the money. Here's what you're not aware of. You're losing about 80% of the decision points right now. Now, you may want to ask me, how could that be, and why is that? Why didn't they teach me this at school? And I said, they did teach you at school. They taught you how to do a Medicare assessment. Are you not doing a 99203, 99204? Look, let me look at you guys real quick on this screen, if you don't mind. Raise your hand if you're doing a 99203, 99204 as your exam. Can you guys hear and see me? Oh, they're frozen screens? Yeah. Dan, Cindy, Jose, Deborah, I got Richard. Are you guys doing 99203 and 99204 exams? Raise your hand if you are. Cindy, what are you doing? Not doing a 99203, 99204? What level exam do you do on your injured patients? Well, anyway, you're doing a Medicare exam, and I'm going to show you how to do an injury model exam in a minute, okay? But if you do Medicare and you do 99203, 99204, you're not going to surface all those missing areas. Simple. Now, we're practicing in a world of unfair claim settlement practice acts driven by these softwares, computers, codes. Colossus determines bodily injury. Xactimate determines property damage. Mitchell Decision Point is going to look at your medical records and see do you have the right codes, the right fees, medical necessity, utilization parameters, and then, of course, we've created a software, proprietary online tool, easy to use, that's going to add the decision points that are otherwise missed and overlooked. You're going to have 21 medical sections, minimum now, and that's what you're going to add when you do the audits. You're going to see something you haven't seen before, and you're going to understand how and why this works. So I like to take 60 seconds now to take a look at have not versus do not have. I don't have versus I have. No, let's take a look at this. I don't have income related to auditing. I don't have any service that will be prepaid by an attorney. I don't have any service that I can make $1,500 in 1 hour. I have no system to audit PI claims. I have no attorneys prepaying me for anything. So just wanted to, refresh our memories as to why we're here today. So that you could be the one in your territory to offer the audit, receive $1,500 prepaid, and create a brand for yourself. Now, there's a check from Jamie Hernan, attorney, and I wanted you to see it. Jamie was so satisfied with our audit system that he is now one of our legal ambassadors. Jamie's a very big player. He's got 5 offices in Atlanta. He's got other managing partners. He's not the only owner, but he's one of the big owners. They do a lot of money. They do a lot of volume. They got 5 locations. He's referring to everybody in all of his locations in my program. And he became an ambassador, which means his contributions are being used for us to improve whatever aspects he feels could help. So far, he's made no contribution because he says everything's perfect. And he's willing to let any attorney call him as a testimonial. So Jamie Hernan is one of our ambassadors. He's in the Atlanta area. Monique Harris is up in California, Los Angeles. And the reason I have Monique, because I wanted a female. Jamie is a male. Jamie's big time, high volume, multiple practice owner, multiple partners. Monique is single, solo. So now, if you got a single solo lawyer or female that wants to talk to a female, we can go to Monique. If you got another lawyer, you can go to Jamie. We have other ambassadors in the program, but there's a check from Jamie to show that they prepay. When did you ever have that happen? The why audits work because they uncover missing decision point evidence, which is the difference to input added valuation. But there are more secrets the insurers don't want you to know. So here are the missing decision points. And they're missing. Think about these things and see if they're missing in your assessment. And you can add, by the way, everything I'm teaching, you're going to be able to add to your own personal injury practice, as well as in the performance of audits. You're going to be able to add additional increase multipliers, injury severity thresholds, standard multipliers, prolonged modifiers, injury value drivers, case maximizers, severity drivers, value drivers, and trauma lines. You're going to add all that to help increase the value of the claim. And those are overlooked. And as I said, a large part of the reason why it's overlooked is because if you're doing a Medicare exam, you're not going to find these things. You have to switch to an injury model assessment. So the audit search engine is going to tag decision points, exchange the data, interface, and input added value. So let's take a look at the next topic of valuation. There are 4 corners of a medical injury claim. Ready? The first is the whole person impairment rating. The second is the duties under duress. The third is the loss of enjoyment. And the fourth is the trauma line. Now, all 4 of those areas have a 25% contribution to the medical claim. Okay, so whatever's missing, you'll be missing that percentage. So I know that you're probably not doing impairment ratings. Automatically, you're missing 25% of the value. Now, when you do an audit, you click a button and the software will do the impairment rating for you. You don't have to think about it. The software will do it. And therefore, you're automatically going to add a 25% valuation to the claim. That's the good news. Now, what's a trauma line? Well, a trauma line is when the diagnosis converts into an impairment. What does that mean? I'll give you a classic example. You ever have TMJ, a temporomandibular joint dysfunction? Temporomandibular joint dysfunction in a patient? That's a diagnosis. Is it an impairment? When is TMJ an impairment? Well, according to the AMA guides, everything has to be by source. You can use the AMA guides. You can use the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeon guides, AAOS guides, AMA guides, or you could use the guides for the disability and function, okay? And we're going to use all 3 of those when we make our assessments, all input into the computer so you don't even have to think about it. Now, if the temporomandibular joint dysfunction changes the person's eating habits, where they have to switch from hard foods to softer foods, soft or semi-soft foods, to the degree where they lose 5% of their total body weight, it's an impairment. I have TMJ. I can't open my jaw. It hurts. I get the clicking. I can't chew solid food. I got to chew soft or semi-soft food. Part one. Part two, my diet has changed. Everything's changed, and I lost 5% of my total body weight. Now you have an impairment. So here's the deal. If your diagnosis doesn't convert into an impairment, it doesn't have a lot of money value, doesn't have a lot of monetary value. Some diagnoses have zero value, like strain, sprain, zero value. Muscle spasm, low value. Some things have no value and low value. But you've got to create your diagnosis into an impairment. I mean, you've got to look at all types of injuries because you're missing a lot of threshold injuries. So when you find these injuries, they have to become a diagnosis. Then the diagnosis has to be made into an impairment. And then the impairment has to be converted into a loss of function. This is why we're increasing the value of claim. We're doing work that nobody's doing. And you're not doing it yourself. You're just clicking the button and the computer's doing it. I'll show you in a moment. Now, I mentioned there should be 4 corners. Look at the red box. Those are the 4 corners. And there should be 21 sections of your claim, your medical claim. Okay? And I know you don't have that. The average demand has only 13 sections in it. There should be between 24 and 31. So let's take a look at what you've got in your records. You've got the history of the accident, maybe past family social history. You got a diagnosis section. And in diagnosis, you would include laboratory tests, diagnostic tests, MRI, radiographs. You would include referrals. You would include immobility devices, DME product. All that falls under diagnosis. So you got a history section on diagnosis, section to determine the treatment. Then you determine the prognosis, then the MMI, possibly the cost. Those are the sections you've got. If you've got a different or more or other section in that, good for you. And if so, you could let me know. But those are the sections. Now, our audit is a search engine to build between 24 and 31 sections. We have what we call a checklist to see what's missing. That is the actual demand formulator checklist or audit formulator checklist. Those are the things you got to look to see if they're missing. Here's a list of oh, that's my water bottle. There's a list of 60 items that you got to check to see, are they included? Now, the software is going to do that search for all those items. And then when they're missing, it's going to include it. That's how we're adding value. Now, let's just break this down. Here, this is the home page of the software that you're going to get. There it shows the 4 corners. And there it shows 17 medical sections. If you add the corners in the 17 sections, you get 21 sections. So there are literally 21 sections. Each has its own name. And then there are 7 legal, administrative, and economic sections. For 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And it should be between 24 and 31 sections. And they actually exist, and they actually have a name. Right? All right. I mean, it's a little bit more complex than you think, but let me give you an idea. You have a diagnosis. It converts into an impairment. Then it converts into a loss of function. So you have to use a function scoring system. I'm going to introduce that to you as well. And then you've got an impairment and a function has to have a rating as well on a scale. Now, every injury has to have its own prognosis. If I sprain my wrist holding the steering wheel, bruise my shoulder, but herniated disc, 3 different injuries with 3 different prognoses and 3 different MMIs. You can't have a generic prognosis. You can't have a generic MMI. You need a different diagnosis for a different MMI for each diagnosis, a different prognosis, a different MMI for every individual diagnosis. Every individual diagnosis has to convert into an impairment and a loss of function. Now, a human is not going to do all that. That's why the computer will do it for you. That's the glory of this. You press a button and you're done. Excuse me. Now, you got to determine and tell which injuries are static, which injuries are stable. You have to give a degree of reasonable probability on a scale from 0 to 100 as to the future recurrence for that injury severity type. These are all the different sections that have been missing in our average demands. So you need between 24 and 31 sections. Each section you add will add more value, and that's why the audits work. Otherwise, money down the drain, and that's what we're here to avoid. Now, here's the next topic. What are the differences in assessing a claim? What kind of differences? I mentioned Medicare and injury model. Let's take a look. Not all assessments are the same. You could have a Medicare model, you could have a disability or Social Security model. You could have a work comp model. You could have an impairment model. And you could have a life care plan model. Life care plan is the ultimate exam. That's usually for more catastrophic illnesses and injuries, like strokes and heart attacks and amputations. That's when people are confined to canes, crutches, wheelchairs. They need carekeepers, catastrophic injuries. So what I'm telling you is we're going to use the injury model, and you're using a Medicare model. But if you go to the Medicare Compliance Manual in 2021, Chapter 12, and you look up 99204, it'll tell you it's named an Initial Preventive Physical Exam, IPPE, Initial Preventive Physical Exam. Or Welcome to Medicare Preventive Visit. You're doing a Medicare annual wellness exam on an injury model. Now, if our audit is based on the impairment model, the code is 1191M. Stands for impairment rating by attending physician, standard 1 through 3 body areas or organ systems. So the 3 areas are going to be musculoskeletal, neurological, and psychiatric. Yes, psychiatric. You have a license and you're allowed to do musculoskeletal, neurologic, and psychiatric. If you were going to do more, let's say a lungs got punctured or a spleen got ruptured, would be 9912M, 1193M. Each area, each organ is a different number. But all we're going to do are 3 areas. So we're doing a 1191M. It says this is an impairment rating by attending physician, standard 1 to 3 body part. What does the 99204 say? Initial preventive physical exam. Welcome to Medicare, annual preventive visit. You see the difference? You want to be in an audit. You want to do an injury model. So don't sweat this, my friends. Let the computer do all this work for you so you don't have to. Now, for example, there's the impairment rating. Now, that's what the software is going to do. When you send the audit into the lawyer, you're going to list every body part that's been involved. And then you're going to give it the impairment. And you're going to show what AMA guide edition you used, what chapter, what table, what page, and what formula. You are going to do this, but now your software will do it for you automatically. All you do is click that button. Do you see what it says? Computer-aided decision making. Click the button, boom. You don't do any work. Remember what I said? I said the computer will do what your brain can't do. Don't rack your brain. Click that button. Now, you could also use this on your own personal injury patients if you treat personal injury. I'll go over that with you some other time. So we're going to do the 24 sections, the whole person impairment rating. You also need to populate diagnostic-related estimate categories. You also need to populate DBI, diagnostic-based injury severity types. You need to do a spine impairment summary. You need to rate specific disorder of the spine. Don't worry about doing all that. Let the software do it and add all those sections to add the money. So audits work because they're based on a higher model exam, automatically done by software. So we're going to change the game. You can't change, actually, we're not changing the game, we're changing the rules of the game. And we're going to enhance and add value by searching, tagging, and including anything that's been missed or overlooked and those decision points. Missing data equal missing valuation. All right. They work because the audits will open the value driver windows and add valuation. Wonderful. Let's go. What's next? All right. The next topic of valuation is I got to get a pillow for this chair next time around. I'm starting to get that. I don't want to give us a break, though. We'll be, how about a stretch break? You need one? Dan, you need a stretch break? I'm going to stretch real quick. Thank you very much. All right, and back again. All right. So, yeah, let's do a stretch break. Let me do an actual stretch break too here. What? Oh, you turned my camera off? No. Leave it on. Because just a quickie stretch. My mic's on, right? All right. So yeah, leave it on. It's okay. Excuse me. Thank you very much. Yeah, leave it on. Just a quickie stretch break. Leave the mic on. No problem. I got it. That's funny, huh, Tony? All right, we're doing a stretch break. questions at now during the presentation, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to have a Q&A at the end, okay? Give me 1 second here. 1 second. Very much for coming back now, getting back. So like I said, yeah, back. Anytime you want to ask a question, you let me know. But if not, we'll save them for the Q&A at the end. All right. So it's always nice to interact with people. How are we doing so far? Are we all happy? Yeah, good. All right. Okay. So there are 4 corners of a medical claim. I didn't invent this, and if you're paying attention to personal injury or what lawyers have to say, you'll know the 4 corners of the claim, but I'll go over them with you here. First one is whole person impairment. Now listen, it's worth 25% of the entire medical value of the claim, so there's no doubt you have to have an impairment rating. Every personal injury claim should have an impairment rating. Now, let me ask you a question over here. By the way, you could picture this if you'd like to. In a minute, I'm going to show you a picture of me presenting to attorneys. Now, what I like to do is I like to go at least once a month. If you're going to become a member of this program, I'm going to give you a little added little benefit to help you reposition yourself in the community. This is part of the program because I want you to have extra credentials. So I'm going to get you to become a continuing legal education keynote speaker or presenter. Let me repeat that. You don't have to do anything. We're going to do all the work for you. I'm going to go to your state. I'm going to register you. I'm going to submit a CV and a bio we're going to create for you. I am going to submit course syllabus, training materials, and manuals, and everything that's required. And I'm going to get you registered in your state as a CLE accredited presenter. CLE accredited presenter, continuing legal education presenter. I'm going to get you to highest credentialing so that you can give general, technical, civil trial, or ethics credits to lawyers that you speak to. Whenever you speak to a lawyer, even on the phone, you're going to be able to give them a continuing legal education credit. Very hard to get ethics credits, so they're going to want the ethics credits from you. You're going to attract a lot of attorneys just by being able to give them CLE credits. So I'm going to show you, if you like to address groups, you can talk on the phone, you can do Zoom meetings, you can meet with groups. I'm also going to get you to become invited by your county bar to address the plaintiff's attorneys in the bar. And that's all part of our program. So you will have the opportunity, if you elect or if you want, to address a group. Now you're going to use our materials, our presentations, our handouts, and these are all approved. And you are going to get so much business from this. It's unbelievable. If you screw it up, 50% of the group will refer to you forever if you screw it up. I happen to have a 100% closing rate, which is ridiculously high. But you should expect between 50 and 80% closing rate of attorneys in the room. I'll go over it all in a minute, but this is one of the things that I ask the attorneys. How do you represent the effects of the injuries to the triers of the facts of the case? Now, the triers of the facts of the case are the insurance companies, the adjusters, the administrators, the supervisors, maybe juries, maybe judges. It depends on how far you go. I want you to take note. Not one claim that has been audited has ever gone to deposition or trial, ever. The insurance companies cannot win, therefore they have not taken any audited claim to trial. So if you got an attorney with a claim that's got to go to deposition or trial, and he has it audited, he can skip all that work, and the case will be settled within weeks. They will not try an audited case. So there's so much good news here. But I asked the lawyers, how do you represent the effects of the injuries to the triers of the fact? Jurors, judges, adjusters. And they use word pictures. Oh, my client can't mow the lawn. My client can't take the dog for a walk. My client can't take out the garbage. They don't drive the kids to school anymore. They use word pictures. But the courts don't buy word pictures. They need an impairment rating. So the courts have ruled whenever compensation is sought for recoverable amounts, the impairment rating is mandated. Whenever compensation is sought for recoverable amounts, the impairment is mandated. So you've got to be the authority. One of the court cases called Alvarez-Guzman, they have Alvarez-Guzman 1, 2, and 3, and they're called en banc decisions, which means a group gets together and makes a decision. So the courts decided when you determine an injured's impairment rating, it's not permissible to go outside of the four corners of the AMA guides. Any physician can use any guide edition, chapter, table, page, or formula or method in the guides to accurately reflect that person's impairment. Four corners of a medical claim. First corner is a whole person impairment. You have to have an impairment rating. But that's worth 25% of the entire claim value. I'm telling you, you're not going to see impairment ratings being issued, so you're going to be able to add 25% right off the bat. Now, you have to use the AMA guides, but I'm not asking you to do that work. The software will do it for you. Now, some judges have said all lawyers should read the AMA guides, Constitution and Bylaws, Practical Application of the Guide, chapters 1 and 2. And so should you. But if you look at the application, the Constitution, the bylaws, the practical use of the guide, chapters 1 and 2, you're going to see that you're charged. As a physician, you are charged to utilize the appropriate chapter, table, page, or method in the AMA Guides, 5th edition, that most accurately reflects the injured's impairment. Alvarez-Guzman, court approved, but in the AMA Guides, if you're a physician, and look what it says here, if you're a physician and we have compensation being sought, recoverable amounts being sought, for whatever, for injuries, for pain, for suffering, for work loss, wage loss, property damage, if you're seeking compensation, an impairment is the tool that's required to value that claim, and you are charged to utilize the AMA guide and appropriate table, chapter, page, and formula to reflect that impairment accurately. You can't make an opinion. Now, what is this thing? That's called a table. In the first column on the left is the body part involved. Then there's the AMA guide edition, chapter, table, page, and later formula. Why am I showing you this table? Well, I'll give you an answer in a moment. But in AMA Guide, Chapter 1 and 2, page 17, providing a whole person impairment rating, the impairment rating should be used when compensation for recoverable amounts is being sought, period. Then you're going to add 25% of missing valuation to the entire claim, yet only 5% of all physicians of all disciplines combined perform an impairment rating. Asleep at the job, I guess. Now, if you don't rate whole person impairment, you're losing 25% of the value of the claim. It's a very important factor that the audit's going to contribute. Next topic, I said, why did I produce that table? Well, the insurance companies created something called Business Process Index. It's really just a profitability index, but it's comprised of 3 factors. Number 1, narratives are no longer admissible evidence. Well, what do you think of that? Here you spend all that time to produce a narrative. You dread having to do a narrative. You think your narrative is the best narrative in the world, yet the insurance companies have the right to throw them out. They're admissible evidence if you go to trial, but if the insurance company doesn't have to even read your narrative, nothing in narrative format will be admissible. Well, then what? They want table format. What do they want table? They don't want you to table that they can't walk the dog or mow the lawn. They want you to know that because of the herniated disc or the bulging disc or the ligament tear or the radiculopathy, the sciatica, that they can't walk the dog, mow the lawn, take out the trash. Then they want you to put the injury into a column, give it an impairment rating, and cite the AMA edition guide, chapter, table, formula in a table format. Now, hold on. I'm not making this up. Lastly, the demand has to mirror the medical records. So the table's got to be in your medical records. The table's got to be in the demand. Crazy stuff that we fixed and put into our audit program. Now, look. Table formatting is required. If you don't put the impairment rating in the table format, it won't carry any value. First of all, you have to do an impairment. So this is what the software is going to do for you. Now look at this. Anybody know Stephen Eggleston, chiropractor and lawyer? He said doctors have to start relaying data about the claims in table format. How many of you know big shot Aaron DeShaw? He's a real opinion leader, chiropractor and attorney. Most doctors and lawyers are unaware that claims must be represented in table format. I mean, Stephen Burris, Sylvia Heisey, all these lawyers have published books that say we've got to use table format. So let our software produce the table for you. Remember what I said in the beginning, if you're going to do the same thing in personal injury that other people are doing, you better do it better or do something that doesn't invite comparison. Now you're doing it better and you're doing something that doesn't invite comparison. You're changing the conceptual analysis attorneys are going to have of you. You're going to be a CLE accredited presenter, able to give them CLE credits when they speak to you. And you can deliver those credits in ethics because we're talking about unfair ethics in lowering claim values. Without table formatting, insurers do not and will not include the value for the whole person impairment. That's what it's going to look like in your audit. That's how nice the software is going to produce this. There's another section of how we represent the impairments in table formatting. Now you'll notice all sections, section 3, 3A, 3C, 3D, all these sections are in tables. There's your, why do audits work? Because we follow the mandates. Now the next value is missing diagnosis. Now hang on to your hats for this one. Because I said we use the injury model, but most physicians use the Medicare model. Well, Computer Science Corporation created the first software called Colossus, and they had determined that they'll take 600 injuries related to auto accidents. 600. Spokeswoman Marion Kelly says their software can make 600 determinations. So we built our software called Case Audit Settlement Evaluation. CASE, we built it to compete with their software, and it'll make the same exact 600 medical decisions, so your mind does not have to. Now, injuries are overlooked. They're called thresholds. What are they and why are they overlooked? Well, I Googled in serious injury threshold. Pages of this stuff came up talking, every one of those items talks about injury threshold. Now, what's an injury threshold and why do I issue a warning? Because injuries and decision points are routinely excluded from the medical discovery, damaging the claim and damaging the injured party who's not diagnosed. This is a listing of the most common overlooked injuries. AOMSI, alteration of motion segment integrity or spinal instability. Mild traumatic brain injuries. 99% of everyone in a low-speed collision, even without visible property damage, will have one form of a mild traumatic brain injury. There are 4 types of mild traumatic brain injuries. Then you got into the more serious cerebral contusions, of which 50% of occupants actually suffer, and then the real diffuse axonal injuries, of which only 9% suffer. But we're missing most of the mild traumatic brain injuries. Number 3, you're missing the cervical chain ganglia injuries. Number 4, you're missing the cerebral contusions. Number 5, you're missing blood flow loss to the brain. Number 6, you're missing uncinate process fracture, which occurs in side lash. You're missing sleep disorders, anxiety, emotional, and behavioral disorders. So I'm going to show you how to find all these, how to detect when they've been overlooked, how to add them and input value. The column in the yellow on the right shows the percentage of time that they're missed. So let's start with this injury called AOMSI, alteration of motion segment integrity. It represents a 25% whole body impairment. Okay, now, there it is out of the AMA guide. Oh, you watch the vertebrae move, and I'll tell you what's going on. When G-forces are sufficient to move the vertebrae more than 3.5 millimeters, it is called alteration of the motion segment integrity. To move that far, you must tear one of the 7 ligaments. It could be the anterior longitudinal or posterior longitudinal. But to move the vertebrae 3.5 millimeters, you must tear a ligament. That's why it's called alteration of motion segment integrity or ligament tear. Now, that's complete structural functional failure of the ligament at that level. Notice as the vertebrae move back, it overrides the disc, it narrows the foramina, so it's going to encroach the foramina, it's going to cause a nerve injury, it's going to override the disc, it's It's going to damage the ligament. That's what's happening. That's alteration of motion segment integrity. Now, that can't be seen by the human eye. It requires special radiographic analysis. That's a software that most doctors and most MRI centers don't have. So you have to send the x-ray. You don't send the actual x-rays, just send a picture of the x-ray or digital file. You could put the x-ray up in a view box, and you could take a picture of it with your cell phone, and you can send that. So what's going to happen is this injury has been determined by research. Over 200 research studies have proven this injury exists in 65% of every single auto accident-related incident. But the people that go to the doctors have a higher incident. We're seeing 75% of all auto accident victims have this injury. It's important, and I'll show you why. But you can't see it. And the AMA says you have to send it out for mensuration analysis. So I'm going to give you a website where you can upload the x-ray image. And this company will send you back a beautiful report with exhibits. Now it's admissible. Now you could admit this injury. You can't detect it by human eye. You can't do Davis series. You can't do mensuration lines manually. You can't draw lines. You got to send it out. This is another reason why we're going to be able to add a lot of value, because a lot of people aren't doing this. You'll get back that report from this company. Now it's admissible. Now listen, 75% of every one of these you send in is going to come back positive. Now, a former superintendent at Allstate, James Mathis, stated that a diagnosis of AOMSI assigns a set-aside, case settlement reserve, already set aside, of $66,000. Now, in 75% of every accident claim that you're going to audit, you are going to add the 25% value for whole person impairment and the $66,000 already set aside case settlement reserve, 75% of the time. Incredible. That goes missing, so you're going to add it. Now, it's hard to imagine missing this injury because it's got such a high impairment rating and such a high settlement value. But it's a serious injury threshold, AOMSI, and it's largely undiagnosed today. Almost every single claim that you're going to audit will be missing that diagnosis, so you're just going to take the x-rays and you're just going to upload them. The lawyer's going to help you get a copy of the x-ray record. You're going to, not the radiographic report, the image itself, usually it'll be digital, and you're going to send it into this company, and they're going to send you back that full report with these images, giving you what's required by AMA mandate to admit this as evidence. Okay? Now, you have to help the attorneys and supply exhibits. So our audit is going to give you exhibits. You're going to receive statements of undisputed facts, all the research, all the references. You're going to get the memorandum of points, declarations, animations, and authorities. What did I just say? In your report now, when somebody's got a threshold injury, AOMSI, cervical chain ganglia, mild traumatic brain injury, blood flow loss to the brain, and so on and so forth, you're going to be able to say, this is the research. These are the statements of undisputed facts. These are the memorandum of points. This is the declaration. This is the authorities, the courts that have voted on this, and these are the animations, so that they actually get paid and don't get refuted, denied, or disputed, or discounted. So you've got to give exhibits. So in the audit, there's going to be a whole section on exhibits, automatically produced for you, including links to animations. Now, I told you about Steve Eggleston. He says if you miss that injury, it should be malpractice, but it's definitely professional negligence. You don't have a choice. You have to look at that injury. That's number one. Then there's cervical chain ganglia. Now, watch this. You look at that vertebrae, and I'll explain it to you. In AOMSI, the vertebrae got pushed back. When it gets pushed back more than 3.5 millimeters, it's positive for AOMSI. That means the ligament is torn. It overrides the disc. It encroaches the foramina, causes radiculopathy. But now look what happened. The cervical chain ganglia lie right next to the vertebrae, and they run from the coccyx to the sacrum to the coccyx, and when the vertebrae is pushed back, it compresses the chain ganglia. What do we know about those chain ganglia? Man, they innervate everything: the eye, the skin, the heart, the larynx, the pharynx, the pineal gland, the carotid body, sweat glands, erector muscle, vestibular system, cardiac system, blood vessels of the skin. People start to sweat more. Some people will sweat only in one area, or they'll have a tingling or sensation in one area. Look, this thing causes visual disturbances. It causes loss of balance. Those are cervical. There's 172 symptoms related to cervical chain ganglia, and I don't see anybody having a diagnosis of cervical chain ganglia. This software is going to determine whether the cervical chain ganglia was, what level of vertebra it was at. Whether it's C1, C6, C4, it'll tell you. For example, it's going to ask questions of the patient, questions such as heartbeat, pulse, heart rate, any changes in respiration. All those are indicative of cervical chain ganglia. And we're going to surface injuries you never even thought of. I'll explain how in a moment. But we're going to diagnose cervical chain ganglia. Whenever you have AOMSI, you have cervical chain ganglia. So 75% of all people have these injuries. And what about concussion and mild traumatic brain injuries? You know that the head doesn't have to hit anything, but when the head goes forward and backward, the brain is going to slap around the inside of the skull. Now, you can tell exactly what part of the brain hit what part of the skull by brain-derived neurotrophic factors through blood tests or by new MRIs that are called diffuse tensor imaging. And not all MRI centers have it. You need to buy a $25,000 software update, and you're going to detect water in the white matter. We don't even have to get that far. You are allowed to diagnose these mild traumatic brain injuries by inventory, by questionnaires. So we have a mild traumatic brain injury questionnaire. We have a cervical chain ganglia questionnaire. We have an AOMSI questionnaire. And you're going to email a client the questionnaire. They're going to answer the questionnaires. When they click the button, it comes back into the computer. You click the button, and the computer's going to say, well, look, they mentioned to me that there's been a change in pulse, a change in their heartbeat, change in their rhythm. Sometimes they feel tachycardia or a skip beat or something. Then the computer's going to go through, and it's going to analyze, and it's going to say, according to the AMA guide, this edition, this chapter, this table, this page, this person has a C4 cervical chain ganglia injury due to these symptoms. And it's going to produce the table. It's going to do it automatically. So we can tell what type of mild traumatic brain injury. There are 4 types. For example, you could have a chemical, physical, somatic, emotional, behavioral. 4 types. The computer is going to tell you by the client answering the inventories on the survey we send to them. As they answer, the computer is going to determine what type of injuries, including the mild traumatic brain injuries. All right, now, what about blood flow loss to the brain? Well, we know there's 7 arteries that lead into the brain. And there's a picture of one of them that actually goes right through the openings or forming inside the vertebrae. And see where that red arrow is? There's a little extra loop up there because God designed this so you could turn your head right and left. You need a little extra room. But we know that these arteries are passing through openings in the vertebrae. So watch. What happens if my head goes? Most of the injuries are going to come at forward flexion. But forward flexion with rotation changes everything. Now, you're not going to have a whole lot of extension because most people have a seat back, a headrest. So it's mostly flexion. Now, watch what happens. As that head is moving forward, I got this slow, and it rotates, starting at 35 degrees, but absolutely at 65 degrees of rotation. When that head moves forward, as it rotates, it begins to crimp the vertebral arteries, called vertebral artery insufficiency or blood flow loss to the brain. An absolute permanent condition. That's going to occur when there's flexion with rotation. At 65 degrees, it's almost 100% going to happen. At 35 degrees of rotation, it'd be about 50% probability. Now, there's orthopedic tests to determine that. If you're an MD clinic, you could also do Doppler ultrasound, but you don't need it. We are going to be able to detect this by using questionnaires we send to the patient. There's a difference between a headache, a difference between a concussion type, and a difference between vertebral basilar insufficiency. And the questionnaires, the inventories, will determine the differences. And now you're going to add new diagnoses, which will convert into an impairment, which will convert into a loss of function. You begin to see how you're going to be putting this claim together, and it's going to have more value. Do you? You see, raise a hand if you see. Yeah, man. Okay. So, what about side lashes? Man, I'm going to tell you something. I can go forward and I can go backward 145 degrees without injury. That's why it's called hyperflexion, hyperextension. But try to put your left ear on your left shoulder without raising your shoulder, or your right ear on your right shoulder. Let me see. Yeah, you see? You know how far you're moving? You're moving about 35 degrees. So when you get hit from the side, if you got more than 35 degrees moving to that head, bam, guess what happens? Have you ever looked at the upward lateral projections of the vertebrae called the Uncinate process? Look at the one that says normal. Looks like a pyramid, a V. Now look at the one on the left. It's gone. You see that it's missing? Look below. You see below, I don't know if you can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse? Yeah. There's a normal right there, and there's a normal right there. Here's a normal right there, but what happened to the top? It's gone. Disintegrated. That's called uncinate process fracture. You know how often that occurs? I mean, you can't go more than 35 degrees. So when you're, what do you call it, T-boned, man, you know? That's a lot of injury coming at a person. Now, do you know why that's, by the way, that's worth the entire full policy coverage limit. Anybody want to guess why it's missing? I said, well, you know, I like to do interactive, but one of the reasons it's missing is because it takes 2 months to show up. And when are x-rays taken? Usually right away. You know why else it's missing? You know what you have to do to see the uncinate process? You got to take the x-ray tube and tilt it up 35 degrees. So you're shooting up, 35 degree up. Now, if I want to shoot 35 degrees up, to avoid going to the ceiling, I got to drop the tube down. So you point it 35 degrees up, you drop it down probably to about the level of the knees, and you're aiming it up 35 degrees. But you also have to move it in. You got to move it in. For every 5 degree of tube tilt up, you move in 1.5 inches. So with a 35 degree cephalad tube tilt, you move the tube in 10.5 inches, lower to the knees. Nobody knows how to do that. So you can't even ask a radiologist to do it. So we have a prescription pad that you can send out. If you ever need the patient to get this view and you don't have x-rays, you can send out the script and say, look, they had a side lash injury. The inventories indicate to me that they're a candidate for this. I want to see if they've got it. And if they do, that's a full policy coverage limit. Side lash injuries. Now, look, we're going to give you a lot more. This is just an introduction here, okay? So this is not the teaching. But there's a blow up, and you can see the difference, right? And look at the orange arrow, show the complete uncinate process, but here you can see that it's missing. All right. Now, we have another thing called specific disorders of the spine. So in the software, section 3C, specific disorders are compression fractures, disc bulge, disc hernia, stenosis, spondylolisthesis, spondylosis, uncinate process fracture, and alteration of motion and segment integrity. So you have to look at the specific disorders and rate them and give them impairment ratings. Now, before COVID, the #1 cause of stress was auto accidents. The AMA has put aside an entire rating for auto accident stress. Litigation is a source of anxiety. So we're going to be rating stress and anxiety and emotional and behavioral disorders. There were thousands, and everybody suffers them, but you got to ask the questions and show that by AMA guide, edition, chapter, table, page, that they truly exist. For example, sleep disorder. I might have a sleep disorder because I have pain, painful radiculopathy, or a fractured arm, pain. That's sleep disorder by pain. I may have some emotional or anxiety disorders, or be worried about my insurance rates going up, or the fact that I'm in a lawsuit, or I'm not going to get my car back for a month, or whatever. If something produces sleep disorder, whether it's emotional, behavioral, chemical, physical, or from pain, that's a sleep disorder, and you don't sleep. You have a sleep disorder because of your accident. It isn't an impairment. The sleep disorder has to affect and spill over into daytime activities and daytime function. Maybe you're tired, you're not performing as well or at the same pace at work, or you can't make decisions, or you're more irritable. Any of these things, that converted into an impairment. So I'm not asking you to convert sleep disorder or anxiety or stress into an impairment. I'm asking you to let the patient fill out the inventory questionnaire and let the computer determine if it constitutes an impairment, in which case it will put it into the table and it will list the AMA guide, edition, chapter, page, and formula that converts it into an impairment. Okay? Later, I'm going to show you how to make that a non-refutable issue. But anxiety comes from litigation itself. Sleep disorders are an impairment. The AMA guide has a whole category on how to rate impairment from loss of sleep. These are all prevalent medical errors, and you got to care about them and not miss them. So, because the undervaluation of injury claims is not always the fault of the insurance company. Doctors have to be held accountable for medical errors that result in these overlooked injuries. Now, if you're the auditor and you discover these things, you're going to build a PI business and practice and reputation above all other competitors. You're going to do what others don't do. You're going to do it better, and you're not even going to invite comparison. Remember, only one per territory. So it'd be only you. Why do these audits work? Because we uncover facts, missed injuries. We add valuation, undervalued claim. On the premise of our success behind this is we do what others don't do. Now, the next topic is how do we get all this information? So we have to do a sequential, a linear, and a binary search. And first of all, we've got to have something to search. So let me show you what we do. For the sequential, linear, and binary aspects of the claim, we built code crawlers into an online inventory questionnaire. It's a data-structured search engine. Okay, how does this fail? How do I turn this on? Oh, I ran out of battery power. All right. All right, we're going to end this quick now because now I'm sweating. So let me explain to you what this online inventory questionnaire is. Now, I want to tell you that Dave Wattell, he claims he's the most prominent personal injury attorney in the nation. Got a $13.5 million home. He invited me there out in Scottsdale. You can reach out and touch Camelback. Dave commissioned me to produce this inventory. Our inventory is so thorough that, you want this? That if a patient needs a gastroenterologist, an eye doctor, an audiologist, this software will say, based upon these symptoms and complaints, the patient should be seen. I mean, our inventory is second to none. I licensed this inventory for a lot of money to a lot of different places. Now watch, it's called a concierge injury questionnaire, or like a triage injury questionnaire. So you're going to send a questionnaire. You can use this on your patients or absolutely everybody whose claim you audit. You're going to tell the attorney you're sending an inventory questionnaire to the injured person. It's going to contain questionnaires for mild traumatic brain injury questionnaire, sleep questionnaire, PHQ-9 questionnaire, depression questionnaire, stress and anxiety, fear and avoidance questionnaire, cervical chain ganglion, blood flow loss, mild traumatic brain injury. Everything you could conceive that could occur leading up to 600 different injuries is in this system. Simply send it out. That's what it looks like. Now you see over here where it says select language. There are over, oh shit, never mind. There are over 100 different languages that people can, you name the language. So what's in this? These are all the questionnaires. The reason we do this is to surface what has been overlooked. Number one, it can add to your, if you're treating and you know about these, you can change your treatment program. But number two, this is the value. Now, you are able to go back in and add missed, overlooked injuries. So we do it by sending out this questionnaire. This is the best part of the whole thing. When the patient clicks it, it automatically comes back into your audit software program, automatically. Then you click the button to computer-aided decision-making, and the computer will take everything the patient has stated and search through using the sequential, linear, and binary code crawlers, and it will determine, does this constitute an impairment? Do I have blood flow loss to the brain? Do I have vision problems that are going to be an impairment? Do I have sleep disorders? Do I have anxiety? Do I have radiculopathy? Do I have AOMSI? Do I have mild traumatic brain injury? Can they be converted into an impairment? Do they fit? Can I put it into the table format? The computer's going to do all of that for you. Now, standard intake forms aren't designed to expose decision points or injury thresholds. Look at some of the things we're going to be looking at. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Got my fan back, people. Thank you. Um, so we have an injury. We have an injury health questionnaire. We have queries, table structures, configurations, drop-down elements, all of that. It's an outstanding component. We're talking about machine learning. Why audits work? Because the inventories uncover threshold injuries that add value. Why audits work? Computer-aided decision-making. There's a clinical decision support system built in called CDSS. Very few computers exist in this category. Our software is in this category for clinical decision support system, and we meet the standards of the CDC, Agency for Healthcare Policy Reform, and Preventive Services Health Task Force. Very few computers. No computer you can buy from any electronic health manufacturer, any medical records manufacturer, is built to do these impairments, these injuries, questionnaires, inventories, build table formatting. None. Now, one of the companies that bought ChiroTouch is looking at buying my software now because it does what no other software can do, and you're seeing what it does. What does it do? It does the whole person impairment rating, specific disorders of the spine, spine impairment summary, diagnostic-related estimate, diagnostic-based injury categories, threshold injuries, table formatting. Crazy. Now, the next topic is this. You can't give yourself your own opinion. Your opinion is only your opinion. You got to have somebody else come in because no doctor can give their own opinion, can rate their own opinion. It's just your opinion. So the courts came up with this process called independent medical validation. Now, we're going to look at 60 areas, and we're going to look at all of them in the audit, but then you're going to send your audit out for a second opinion because you can't give your opinion, and the courts don't have to accept your opinion, so you've got to send it out for another opinion. Now, I want to show you something about Mayo Clinic. They came up and they said, correctly diagnosing an injury is an incredibly complex because if the injury lacks a definitive test that doctors can't use to confirm the diagnosis, you're not going to find it. So doctors are using Medicare, not injury model. Doctors are not using inventories. Doctors are not sending x-rays out for analysis. So 88% of the claims that you audit, the diagnoses are going to be augmented, changed, and added. Listen to what it said. The second opinion revealed additional important information and resulted in a refined diagnosis. Mayo Clinic says everyone should send out for another diagnosis. 88% change. So the audit is the second opinion. So you can't validate your own work, so you send it out for another opinion. So there are agreed medical examiners, AMEs, qualified medical examiners, QMEs, independent medical examiners, IME, but there's IMV, independent medical validator. 72 courts got together and said, when you send your file out to an independent medical validator and they put a stamp on it, the courts have spoken. You have met the reproducibility initiative and have the independent validation, and now your findings will hold a greater weight, show more believability, and establish the preponderance and preponderate over any other opinion. The courts have determined the process of independent medical validation was created to establish the preponderance, eliminate varying opinions, and show by a degree of fact in the mind of a trier or a fact or in the mind of a court that one side has greater believability, preponderates over, and wins the greater weight of the evidence. But you got to get used to sending out. The first 5 pages of this report are the notice of memorandum of points, the statements of undisputed fact, the declarations, the authorities, and then it's followed up by the table formatting. See the table in there? This is what you're going to be sending out in your audit. No one can challenge you. The courts won't allow it. Only another independent validator. If they follow the guides, they're going to come up with the same conclusion. So that's what you're going to be giving as part of the audit. That stamp indicates. Now, we're no longer bound by adjusters or IMEs, okay? Look at this. It says, thank you for your help. The IMV definitely made a difference in us being able to settle for the policy limits of the at-fault party insurance carrier. We look forward to working with you again in the future. And they enclosed a check to the doctor, the chiropractor, and they did not dispute his claim. They did not deny. They did not cut his bill. And then they said, we're happy to work with you again. Of course they're going to work with us again. So the IMV is part of the audit in your software. After you input the data, click a button, and the software and the software is going to send this thing out to an approved agency. The agency is going to perform 60-point audit and then put the stamp on it and send it back to you automatically by pushing a button. This is how the audit does its work. So that's this little bit of the system. You just, boom, everything's a click of a button. Why do they work? They're going to win the greater weight challenges. So this is a virtual business, and PI claim audits are a new reality in the industry of personal injury. You can have one staff member help you. You can just do it yourself at home. Do it while you're watching football, sitting out by the pool, which you won't be able to do unless you're in Florida, or on the weekends or evenings or before breakfast or on your day off or during lunch. Now, there's something called Unfair Claim Settlement Practice Acts. There are 12 of them. The most common ones are named for what they do: manipulate the trauma line, drag the injury severity point, reduce the injury severity type to an unrateable action plan, redesign the core claim process, second-guess the medical opinion, benchmark tuning bias. I talked to you earlier about when that adjuster wouldn't pay for the dental damage, but he didn't send the patient out to a dentist. He made his own decision. That's number 5, called second-guessing the medical opinion. Every one of these carries a $25,000 regulatory fine. Our software will determine if any of these were used. There's 12 of them. It'll determine if any of them were used, and it'll write up an incident report. Once the insurance companies know that we've caught it, they can't do it, and they won't be able to undervalue because of an Unfair Claim Settlement Practice Act. And you can charge them $25,000 for every time they use it, if you want to go that far. But the Insurance Code, Title 5, Chapter A, Unfair Claim Settlement Practice Acts. I mean, it's a real deal. So audits work because they bring justice, equity, and fairness to the claim process. Would you like to be able to do that and tell insurance companies, boom, valuable strategies that bring success to your business is what today is about. Now, how does an audit work? Very simple. The attorney is going to go to your online portal, and he's going to upload the file. You'll get the MRI report, you'll get the doctor's records, you get the hospital report, and you'll get the police report. Or the attorney can just upload that information into those fields on the portal on your new website that you're going to send to him. And so either the attorney uploads it or you upload it. That's where it takes an hour, because you're not doing any work, you're not doing impairment rating, you're not creating a table, you're just inputting the data. So look at the MRI. If there's a herniated disc, go to your data, put herniated disc at what level. Look at the MRI. If there was lost range of motion, enter it into the data field. Look at the MRI. If there was a ticket administered for running a red light, enter it into the data form. Very simple. The lawyer will upload the MRI, the radiographic report, the police report, the doctor's record, and you just transfer it. Now, if the lawyer doesn't, if the lawyer wants to transfer it himself, so half the lawyers are going to upload into the file, half are just going to send you the records. If they upload it, your work is done. If they don't, then you got to spend about an hour to upload. So that's how it works. Why does it work? Because this is an SaaS business. Have you ever heard of SaaS? That's a business called Software as a Service. So the software is going to digitize the entire process for you, automatically uploading the new data to the case computing resources, processing the data in real time, performing computation-intensive tasks, which does not require any special compilation or modification from the user. Wonderful, beautiful system. It's an actionable intelligence, not artificial, but actionable. So you're going to assemble everything, and it's going to come out in 24 sections. It's going to be in the right language, format, and sequence. It's going to have complex data. It's going to input added valuation and reverse the undervaluation. And it has worked every single time since 2010, and no audited case will be challenged in deposition or trial. Why does this work? It's all cloud computing and machine learning, the ability of a machine and the software to use cognitive intelligence to perform the audit. That results in the efficiency and enhancement of operations, and operational efficiencies are enhanced. You want to do it, Doc, you can do it, or have a staff member do it. That's all. So we put together a complete done-for-you business solution. Now, there are either business opportunities, license agreements, done-for-you solution system, or franchise. This is on its way to becoming a franchise. You get in at a fraction of that, less than a tenth of the cost. So this is an audit business, proactive software as a service business, and it works. Now, you want to know about how you get started? Let's take a look at something. You already got a building or real estate, you got an office, you got a location. If not, use your house, use your den, use your bedroom, use your kitchen table, use your lounge chair out by the pool. You got the real estate. No, you don't need any leasehold improvements. You got a computer, you got a laptop, you got a cell phone, you got a printer. So you don't need any of that stuff, but you're going to get new letterhead and you're going to get new business cards. So there'll be an expense for that. Advertising and promotional expenses are covered and paid for by us. We're building you a website. We're going to be producing electronic bulletins. We're going to be producing electronic advertisement, digital marketing. We're going to be producing an attorney referral program, an attorney management program, a referral managing program. We're going to get you CLE accredited. You're going to become a contributing author. I'm going to send direct mail to your attorneys, a letter to your attorneys, phone call to your attorneys, introduce you to attorneys. We're going to send direct mail. We're going to email your attorneys every week. We're going to collect analytics from who opens. We're going to call them. I'm going to email them. I'm going to collect the analytics. I'm going to have my people call and set up referrals for you. Phone calls. You don't have to do any of that. All you got to do is get with the program. So to create and fill in an injury audit report, just go to this thing called Case Management Dashboard. When you get your software, columns right like this, and you click and check as you input. You cannot become a franchise without a dashboard management system. That's why we produce it. Our users and our chiropractors think this is the most unbelievable thing they've ever seen. It makes it so easy for you. Yes, you're going to get a checklist, which is going to be printed, but the checklist is built into the computer, so you can't miss a step. Now we have video tutorials. We do a weekly webinar every Thursday where all members are on. Good place to learn, chat, talk to other members. We have recorded trainings that you can go online every week since January. Name the topic, explain the subject, go take any previous recording you want. We don't repeat ourselves. We have to-do checklists. We have the dashboard. There are mentors, personal trainers, coaches, and me. I'm assigning every one of you to your first personal trainer, Mrs. Peggy White, the wife of Dr. Kurt White. Peggy White knows more about this system actually than I do, and she's an absolute genius. I was so impressed. So she now, our head personal trainer, who's actually going to be the one to train you on this. So we're going to coach you, teach you, give you the knowledge, give you the software. We have to pay $99 a month for the software. All the tools that you're going to need, all the marketing tools, everything, including the tools, and to become CLE accredited. And we're going to give you experience and skills. We're going to put you in this business. The software is going to do the work. The software is the brain, so don't fret this. So are you looking to see if this might be a good direction for you to take your business? So, what, when, where, why, how, who? Why should you be called upon to capitalize and help other attorneys? What can you do others can't do? What do you exhibit that others don't exhibit? What's your unique value proposition? See, when you had a taste of excellence, it's hard to go back to being average. So the new you is going to come out of here. So now the new you is going to be able to do this, but you got to make yourself known to the people in the community. So Inc. magazine said these two powerful words are going to be the best thing to supercharge your business. You know what the two powerful words are? Market position. So building a brand means connecting with your lawyers and engaging on a personal level. You've got to create a brand. This is the guy that can fix my problem. Now, we're the specialist. You're going to be our partner, but we're going to do all your marketing and branding for you. You're not going to call lawyers. You're not going to create e-bulletins and send them out. You're not going to get Google Analytics. You're not going to call and set up meetings and establish referrals. You're not going to create or send direct mail. You're not going to do all that. We're going to do all that for you to effectively reposition you as the new expert in town. Now, I talked about the perceptual map or the positional map, and there's a map, and you're on it. Where you fit on this perceptual map by attorneys is going to be based on your individuality, your appeal, your status, and your quaintness. So individuality, that's your quality, the character that distinguishes you from others? Well, now you're going to be an auditor. That is certainly going to distinguish you from others. How about appeal? Yeah, you can fix a problem, so you're going to be attractive and interesting. How about quaintness? Clever, cunning, proprietary, unique value proposition. And how about your status? You're now going to become a CLE accredited presenter. And guess what else? You're now going to become a contributing author, an author of a new book that you're going to be contributing author called When Insurers Pay Low, Say No. Your book. You're going to be a contributing author and a CLE accredited presenter, elevating your status so you get closer to the center of that positional map with all four factors are right in the center. Now, it's about influencing the attorney's perception of your brand relative to the perception of your audit service, or you occupying a clear, unique, and advantageous position in the attorney's mind who's going to say, this doctor can do this. Nobody else can. So how do you push your unique value proposition through the plaintiff's information highway? One of the things we do is we learn lawyers are online, and lawyers like to read. So digital advertising is one of the tools we use. Marketing automation. The future is in digital marketing. So I want to introduce you to our automated personal injury response generator referral tool. Nothing works like this. This is unbelievable. So I'm going to initiate for you an attorney contact management program without you exerting any manual effort or expertise or extra capital to make it happen. Now, e-newsletters and e-commerce people, and the biggest are Nielsen agencies, and marketing development experts all say e-bulletins are a business development necessity. E-bulletin, the electronic bulletin. Remember I mentioned there were 58 case maximizers? This is one of our bulletins. It says 58 case maximizers that can prevent unfair personal injury settlements. Would it excite you to consistently minimize settlement value in a Colossus environment? Probably so. Well, these 58 factors might keep you from receiving a lowball settlement. So we're going to send them a newsletter every single week, Tuesday at 5 a.m. and Friday at lunchtime, the two best times to send a newsletter. They're going to be chock full of information they cannot get anywhere else. Now, just to give you a value, there is a company in our profession that will do a newsletter for you. They charge $2,500. They do one newsletter a month. For a couple of $100 in our program, part of that money goes to us producing not thousands, hundreds, a couple of hundreds. You're going to get an electronic bulletin with your picture, your name, your address on a customized content that they need and want. It's going to be deployed to the 100 lawyers we're going to build for you. It's going to be deployed every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and Friday at noon to their address from your email. When they respond, it goes to you. The following week, we're going to collect the analytics showing who opened, and then we're going to call them and set up meetings and referrals just for a couple of hundred. And the other company charges $2,500 just to produce a newsletter. One a month. They can't do more than one a month, and they won't mail it. They won't get the analytics. They won't make the phone call. What a value you're going to get. This is technology and affordability coming to your rescue. So we're going to become your database developer and your attorney referral manager. I said I want to franchise this. This is a complete done-for-you system. Look at that. That's going to be a typical list. There's not 100 lawyers, about 30 lawyers on that list. So you're going to get a list like that. How many lawyers are on that list? This is page 132. So we're going to get you a list like this just for you of the lawyers in your community, in your territory, that would be willing to work with you, that would do business with you. How do we know? We're going to call them first. Then we're going to tell them what we want to do. We're going to ask for permission, and they're going to give us the email. Boom. I'm going to build you a list. Now, it's going to take me about 10 days to get that done, so hang on to your hats. But during that 10 days, you're going to learn how to navigate the software. We're going to interview you, and we're going to build you a new curriculum vitae and a new bio so I can make you a CLE accredited presenter in your state. We have to make you a contributing author. We got to build your website and your web portal. We got to build all your marketing materials. So that's and while we're doing that, we're building your attorney list. You're going to get a list like this just for you. And then we're going to send out these e-bulletins every week. Now, then the following week, you're going to get an analytics. Now, this analytic was for one of our members, and it shows that in the top right, it said 124 lawyers on his list, 25% 25% open. So 32 lawyers open. And then there's the list of who opens down the bottom there. So that list gets sent to our phone room, and our phone room will call every one of those attorneys. They will set up at least one meeting every week for you that you can do by Zoom with an attorney for a referral. There's not an attorney around who will not refer. And if they don't want to refer an audit, they can ask for a free review. There's another doctor. He had a 13% open rate, or 26 opened. Then there's a list. Then that list goes to our phone room. Then they call those attorneys. When I first started sending out the e-bulletins, I said to the doctor, did you call the attorneys? And they say, no. They didn't have the time or the staff or the research. So I had to create a phone room. So I got a great phone room. And we know exactly what we're doing. And you're going to get a list of who we call. So my interactive phone is going to create a rapport with your area plaintiff's attorney, generate meeting referrals. We're going to extend your presence, attract more attention, reach more attorneys than you're reaching now. Now, here's an example of a list. The orange or the green are appointments we met. There are 37 lawyers on that list, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 meetings were set. Now, do you see at the bottom of the list there are names? See those names? Every one of those is a name of a different auditor in our program. So what you do is you go to, I'm going to give you a link where you go online and you open this up and you scroll over to your name and you click on your name, and then you'll get the phone room activity report. So you can go online anytime you want, see who's calling for you, who they called, how many calls were made, who they reached, what was said. Let me enlarge this. So in green, so out of the 37, they were able to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 appointments. I mean, when's the last time you talked to 10 attorneys on the phone that are going to refer you business? If they don't send you an audit, they're going to at least refer you a free review, which converts into an audit. All right. So we're going to be building you this database for one reason. We're going to send out e-bulletin, find out who opens, call them up, get referrals for you. There's an example. I don't know if you can see all the greens, but everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 appointments set for me out of, I don't know how many. That's my list, because I'm doing this too. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably hard for you to see those colors. But anyway, so you're going to get a list, and then we're going to send the e-bulletin, collect the analytic, and call them. And then you can go online, click on your name, and it'll tell you how many calls were made, when they were made, who was reached, what was done, what was said. But most importantly, we have never failed, and we will never fail to set up meetings for you every single week. Now, there's 100 lawyers on your list. If you just meet with one a week, it's going to take you 2 years before everybody refers to you. So the more time you've got. So I'm going to be asking you, what are the times and days you can Zoom or talk to attorneys, and then we're going to book you an appointment based on your times and days of availability. This is a custom service. You couldn't pay anybody to do it for you. So I'm going to increase your brand exposure. Now, outbound phone calls are the gold standard. That's why we do them. So we're going to sell from our strength to their weakness. They got a problem, we got a strength. That's how we sell. 724 attorney connections resulted as a result of our networking in October with our members. 724 attorneys. There are 7,400 attorneys in our network now, resulting in 724 referrals in October. Now, that's me at the Cine Bistro movie theater. Now, I got to tell you the good news. Since COVID, you can rent an AMC or a Regal movie theater for between $100 and $150. I didn't realize how many seats were in theaters, but I went last week and I looked. Theaters start at 45 seats, 65 seats, 95 seats, then 150. Then you go to IMAX and Dolby. Every movie theater's got a theater for 45 seats, 65 seats, 95 seats, and 150 seats. Now, if you have a low attendance, you can rent the 45-seat theater. But first of all, your county bar will invite you to present, and they're going to invite you to present at their location. They're going to do all the work. They're going to set it up. It's going to be their meeting room. All you do is show up, and you'll show up to a room full of lawyers. At least half those lawyers are going to refer to you, and they'll refer in the future consistently and repeatedly. But county bar has a schedule. If you don't want to wait for the schedule, you have your own presentation. Invite your own group. So I will give you a mailer. I'll show you the mailer later. And we can do a direct mail. We'll do 2 email invitations and 2 phone calls, and you'll fill a room. 1 or 2 max direct mail, 2 email invitations, and 2 phone calls, and we'll fill a room for you. Easy. We've got the experience, and this is what happens. So there's me with the arrow doing the presentation to a group, and that was 2 months ago. And there were only 2 empty seats in that room. Now, I hand out this form. It says, I would like the following. I would like an audit to reverse undervaluation. I would like a review of an undervalued claim with a report and meet by phone. My best times and days are on Friday after 1. There's my email. I'd also like a free ebook and a free e-bulletin. There's my cell phone. I want a smart brief. Now, if a lawyer gives you his cell phone, you will have consistent, predictable lifetime referrals. That's how you know. You know that you're really respected when they refer their family and they give you their cell phone. So this was Attorney Dustin, and that's the way he filled out my survey. So Dustin said, I want the audit. Now look, I copied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Every single attorney in my audience orders an audit. So if you got 40, that's $65,000 for 1 hour presentation. That is crazy. That's why I do one every month. I can't even audit the claims that come in. I have to have other people doing it. There's too many. So this is the proof. They order the audits. They don't come unless they want to have their problems fixed. They say, don't sell me, educate me, and tell me what you do that others don't do. So I give them the opportunity to order a free claim review. But most of them, only a few of them wanted, let's just see what happens here. So that one guy wanted audit and review. Then there's audit, audit review, audit review, audit review, audit review, audit, audit. 3 out of those 9 wanted audits only. The rest wanted reviews. This guy wanted audit and review. And Dustin wanted audit and review. But they all wanted an audit. All right. So they get this kind of report. That's the cover page of the report that generates from your software. Well, what a professional report you're going to generate to them. You know how long it takes for you to review a claim report? About 30 seconds. So you got to make yourself stand out and get a unique selling point. What do you have that sets you apart? Why should an attorney do business with you? Maybe one staff member can help you with this and make it even easier. But we've got the marketing strategy to become a franchise. So we're the specialists. We're going to do what you can't do alone. We're going to do all your marketing. Now, today I want to send you this, our ancillary marketing plan. I want you to see the entire marketing program. What are we going to do for you? Because I'm going to get you branded in the next 7 months. And I want you to see what we're going to do every week, every day, every month. So I put this together, so I'm going to send it to you. Rather than take the time now, if you want, I'll send you this afternoon. I'll send you your demographic profile, and you can do some research and see. This is our marketing plan. This is your demographic profile. That is the book that you are now going to become a contributory author of. Called When Insurers Pay Low, Say No. The bodily injury claim audit that reverses unfair settlement. The good news about this book is that's what you need to become CLE accredited. So you had to write a book. So I wrote it for you. I'm going to show you how you can contribute to become a contributing author. And then that's what you give out every time you do a presentation or you meet with an attorney. You can do ebook or hardcover. Now you have to pay for your printing. It's $375 per book. So if you got 100 lawyers and you want 100 hard copies or soft copies, it's $375 with customized with your picture, name, and everything in it. Otherwise, it's an ebook. We also have other booklets and brochures, very handsome. You'll see them all when I send you. So we've got e-ads, e-deployments, print deployments, flyer deployments, postcards. And there's the letter I'm going to send immediately to the lawyers in your community introducing you. This is the invitation I use to get the lawyers to come to my presentation. Shows the theater, parking garage, and everything. Now, if you haven't seen our documentary and you need to see it, I'll send it to you. But How do we educate lawyers? Number one, this is the documentary. It's 14 minutes and 17 seconds. It's an extreme studio production. It equals and rivals movie theater production. So if you spend $100 to rent the AMC or Regal movie theater, you're going to start off your presentation with this 14-minute, 17-second documentary. That will close the lawyers for you. You don't have to do a damn thing. Just play that documentary. Right now, we're going to call every lawyer in your community. We're going to tell them that we have a very important documentary we would like them to see. We're going to ask them for permission to send it to them, and then we're going to ask for permission to call them back after they've watched it. And we're going to set those appointments up for you, and we've never failed, and we're doing it right now for all of our members. And once the attorneys watch this, they're ready to do business. Then you call them up at the time and date they agreed to let you call them after they've watched it, and you've got another little presentation that you could show them. But we are going to give you everything you need to close these attorneys and get their business. But that's our number one featured educational promotional. It contains CLE credits. It's the most unbelievable. And we tell them that we want them to see it before insurers make us take it down from YouTube. So that's just another of the way we educate attorneys. Now, what's a niche market? It's a smaller part of a larger market that has a different need. And the riches are in the niches. 5 elements of a niche. We've already done all the work. This is a niche business for you. It's about brand positioning. Because you got to create a unique impression that attorneys can associate you as being and having something specific and desirable, distinct from everybody else. I talked to you about mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive standards, which is going to be built in so nobody can duplicate you. Your business ownership is a title, not a job description. 70% of all businesses are franchises owned by entrepreneurs because they want to follow a blueprint to create their own solid and successful running enterprise. So we've done the D for You system. Michael Gerber, the E-Myth chiropractor, says why most chiropractic practices don't work and what to do about it. Why do we have such low incomes according to Forbes? And the reason is you don't have a system. So we got the done for you system. You can operate like a franchise without the high cost. Now, Dunkin' Donuts, you gotta have 250 grand and you need a network of $500,000. They offer a 20% discount if you buy 5 because they know you're not making any money with one. Most people have 4 or 5 of them. But the average profit from Dunkin' Donuts is $82,000.33 a year. And it costs you $250,000. So now you can buy this franchise right now as a charter, and it's going to cost you about the same amount of money as it would cost you to hire a part-time employee. How do you like that? Could you afford a part-time employee right now? If you could, you're in the audit business. That's all it's going to cost you. And you're going to make more than if you spent $250,000 on one of these franchises. With low monthly costs, you can add this done-for-you audit service designed like a franchise. Your license is worth more than any franchise. So establishing your entrepreneurial new audit business, target marketing strategy, you now have a chance to create a strong position in the marketplace because of your unique value proposition of auditing, and you can build a brand around it. Target-specific messaging, market strategy, position benefit content market strategy with more compelling communication, more value to lawyers, stronger position against competitors, high probability of attracting a lawyer, getting referral. We're going to mail, we're going to call, we're going to email, we're going to get analysts, we're going to call them, we're going to set up meets. We haven't failed at it. Are you doing that? How often? How often do you target? What communication do you engage? What is your UVP over others? What's your positional statement? What are you known as or for? What's your strategy to establish a stronger position against your competitors? Where do you stand on a perceptual map? If I ask the attorneys what they think of you, what do they think of you now? What place do you hold? Now, everybody should become an author. There's books out that said build your author platform, the expert author effect. So please, let me go ahead and make you a contributing author. Then I can go to the state. I'm going to send them a check. I'm going to send them your CV and your bio, which I'm going to write so it'll fit the CLE requirement. I'm going to fill out the applications. I'm going to send a copy of your book, copy the PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to get all that done, and I'm going to get you accredited. So now your status on that positional map is going to increase right to the center. Done for you, all inclusive. Now, I want you to meet our team. So you're going to get this manual as soon as you sign on. It's Welcome to Case Audit System. So it's going to have all this, it's going to tell you step by step what we do. You'll receive it. But going to look like this. Going to get a picture of all the people that work for us, what they do for you. Okay. And it's an introduction to us and our staff and the people that work for us and what they do. Our phone room is unbelievable. I want to skip through this. I don't want to waste a whole lot of time. Then you're going to be able to look at the efforts of the phone room and just go to the bottom, click on your name, and you'll see exactly what they're doing, who they're calling, what appointments are being made. We have not failed. Never, ever, ever. We will be introducing you to lawyers and making meetings and appointments and referral. Never failed. Now, Vicky's the partner of a 24,000 square foot fulfillment center because we're going to be doing direct mailing to your attorney. Now, look at this piece here. I brought this with me. All right. This is an example of a mailer. Now, you notice on this side, we have the indicia. We print the labels. This all gets printed by our computers. But I use envelopes with clear, so it's much more attractive. Let me open this one up. This is a return I got for my. This is my mailer to attorneys in my community, and so we have this little idea of putting this little sticky note on there, you know, with a little bit of, come on, sticky note. Hey, this one's really stuck. Come on over there, sticky note. All right. So I want the sticky note to have its own little message. And then there's the brochures. These things are unbelievable. And your picture and everything can go on it. This is just one of what we're going to send out with a little sticky note. And like I said, we use these clear envelopes so they can see through them. Very expensive. It's a 48 cents just for the envelope. So Vicky runs the fulfillment center. Man, she can print up 100 letters with each lawyer's name and your name, address the envelope, stuff it, seal it, put the postage on it. We got a fulfillment center to do that. Herman is a Zeus Claim programmer. Tony's our video production specialist sitting right over there. Tony Melvin is a New York Times bestseller. He's one of our consultants. Artie Marin's a consultant. James Denny is a design HTML programmer. Now, Jackie Robinson says, you know anything about the art of money lost? Every audit you're not doing right now is $1,500 you're losing. You could have done 2 audits while we were talking and made $3 grand. Business that you don't do that you could do is money lost, the greatest money you're ever going to lose. Now, how many know Grant Cardone? You ever know or hear of Grant Cardone by show of hands? All right, Grant Cardone produces the largest business conferences on earth. He's number 1 right now. Number 1. Why do I talk about Grant Cardone? Because Grant Cardone's from Tampa. He was selling real estate. He didn't make it as a car salesman. He got into real estate. I knew him when he wasn't making much money, 40 grand a year. He's been to my house at least 3 times. Right now, Grant does over $350 million a year. He's out in California. He's gotten married, and he's killing it. Grant Cardone. He teaches growth conferences, the 10X program. He says franchising is a great way to get rich. So that's what we're doing here. Now, there's a photo I got of him in his airplane, in his jet. I asked him, I says, Grant, what should I tell the doctors listening to my program? He says, tell them this, Frank. Tell them to make the decision that they really want to make if they could give themselves permission. Because a lot of us block our own progress. Say, that's too good to be true. I say, if it's that good, I deserve it. Grant says, tell your doctors, make the decision they really would like to make if they could give themselves permission. You only get what you give yourself, so give yourself the best. Don't let anybody rain on your parade. All right, so that's what Grant says. Now, anybody know Carly Fiorina? Anybody? Well, Carly is a CNN news correspondent. She is the CEO of Hewlett-Packard, and she was a one-time presidential candidate. She says an imperfect but timely decision is usually better than a perfect but too late a decision. I woke up during a seminar on February 2020 in Atlanta, 4:40 a.m. I said, do all you could have done so you don't have to say you didn't do all you should have done. Well, you got an opportunity now. What can we do for you? First of all, it's a done-for-you model like a franchise. So the first thing I can do for you is training program. Any good done-for-you system has training programs that'll bring you up to speed on the most successful methods to run this business, with reference materials, with mentors, with trainers, with coaches, with webinars, with live training. That's a picture of our last live training. We did that training during COVID. In case you're wondering how big that room is, that's the ballroom at the Marriott at the Tampa Airport Hotel. That is the ballroom. And that was a recent training. All right. Now, then you're going to have, I know you can't read that, the case training video, the computer walkthrough, and then the recorded webinars. Plus, you're going to get a mentor. Plus, you're going to get hooked up with our personal coach and trainer, Peggy White. Peggy White's better than me. That's why she does it. Now, number 2, you need ongoing operational support. Staff dedicated to providing you ongoing assistance. You won't be alone. When you're building and running the business, a DFY system has support. Knowing you're part of this and calling upon experienced personnel and staff and mentors is going to help you build and grow. Number 3 is for marketing assistance. Not only are we going to take care of and creating and handle all this, but we put the cost into it. So I'm not going to ask you for any marketing costs. We've developed the actual marketing, and we conduct it, and we blast it out, and we deploy it, we follow up with it. That's all in the program. Then there's exclusive territories, which is one of the things that's outstanding. So you should be protected from others competing in your area, and we do that for you. And you get a higher likelihood to be successful because there's an already established system in place. Higher likelihood of success, it's already put in place, so you're on your way to get started, run this successfully. And it's easier to obtain financing. Now listen, lenders are very comfortable if they could finance somebody that's been vetted, a system that has a proven track record. Bankers will look at successful systems at having a lower risk of repayment and a lower risk of default, and they're likely to lend money based on that. So you talk to your future today, tonight, ask yourself if you're ready. This is a defining moment for you. Buying a done-for-you business system can be a business as well as a life-changing experience. A properly designed and executed done-for-you business system can be an exceptional method of expansion for you. How much does it cost? The cost is the same as adding a part-time employee, but it's also a tax-deductible write-off. My accountant called us yesterday. He said, we're not writing your yacht off. He says, every business trip you take, everything, the food, captain's expenses, and running costs, blah, 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 can all tax deductible. Well, this whole thing is tax deduction for you. Now, compare the costs of doing this. So, do you have anybody that could build and maintain a 100-member database for you? Can call attorneys to obtain opt-in permission? Can research and write electronic bulletins weekly, design e-bulletins, HTML program them, deploy them, collect the analytics, call attorneys, set up meetings, create direct mail pieces, send direct mail, United States Postal Service. Is there any place you can go to lease audit software? How much would all this cost? Anybody know Les Brown by show of hands? Golly jeepers. Well, Les Brown was a motivational speaker. I met him, and I introduced him to the chiropractic profession. And Oprah Winfrey picked him to be Dr. Phil. But Les Brown had a learning impediment, and he could only repeat things. So if you ask him a question up front, he would have to pause, go in his mind, pick it up, and then come back and talk to you. It was a horrible impediment. But he became one of the best motivational speakers of all time, and Oprah Winfrey hired him. After 3 television sessions, she replaced him with Dr. Phil. Les and I are very personal friends. He married Gladys Knight. I've been to his house in Vegas. We shared hotel rooms together many times. Les says you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. I thought you might know who he is, a great guy. So how do you get started? Well, I'm going to say this to you now, and then we're going to end. By now, at this point in the presentation, you have an idea whether adding audit services is, appealing to you. But I want you to relax because I want to give you just a little bit more. I want you to know how affordable it is, and I want you to take some time to make a decision. So I want to get you your market analysis today. I want to get you our booklet so you see exactly how we're going to market you and brand you over the next 7 months. I want you to have a copy of my agreement, and I want you to have an application. What kind of application? Well, here's your market research. You're going to love it. It'll be at your inbox within an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Okay, I'm at the studio. I got to go home. And then I'm going to send you this. I'm going to send you our ancillary marketing plan. I'm going to send you my agreement. And I'm going to send you an application. Now, I want to tell you that I'm going to invest in you if you invest in me. So Stearns Bank. Have you heard of Stearns? They're the #1 chiropractic leasing bank that we have available to us. Stearns Bank has teamed with me. We're partners. I go under the name DRMA Pro, LLC. DRMA means Diagnostic Radiographic Mensuration Analysis. Diagraphic Radiographic Mensuration. DRMA, that's my main company. And CASE is a DBA. Case Audit Settlement Evaluation. Now, that's the screen that Stearns Bank has created for you to finance your way with my logo, and then they got a little note over there. We are a vetted system with 0 defaults and a proven track record. Bankers look at successful systems as having a lower risk of repaying and a lower risk of default, and they're likely to lend money based on that. So Stearns has vetted us. Stearns has partnered with us. And you can go through a finance application quickly and effortlessly. How much does this cost? The cost of this program as a franchise, and it's not going to be made available to chiropractors as a franchise because I don't think anybody can afford it. But it's 3 times the net. The net is 116, so it's $330,000 franchise. Your charter member price is $35,000. When the charter's over, it's only going to be available as a franchise. You can sell it if you want, but I don't think you're going to want to sell it. You can keep this as a business within your business for when you sell your business, or you can open up a new business with new letterhead and a new bank account and keep it aside so that when you sell your business, you've got this to take into retirement. There's no reason to ever stop doing audits. An hour a week for $1,500, 2 hours a week for $3,000 while you're retired, do that forever. So my suggestion would be, after you've gotten used to this for a while, and you go ahead and open up a bank account, create a new business called Case of, we call it Case of Franklin, Case of Sanford, Case of Kennesaw, Case of Oak Creek, Case of Maryville, whatever your city you're in, and then open up a bank account and have it as a separate business. Keep it apart from your chiro business, and then you keep it when you retire, unless you want to sell it as part of your business. But Stearns is our ticket to success because it's a $35,000 program. I cannot do this work for you for less, so don't even think about it. Now, I've said I'm losing money at this price of everything we've got, plus it includes the software, which I spent over $5 million in developing since 2010. Now, you do have to pay a $99 license fee for the software. That's a separate thing on its own. No big deal. So how much is $35,000 going to come out to? If you have good credit, it's $640 a month. If you have shitty credit, it's $940 a month. If you have a credit and a 500 score, it could be $1,000 a month. But that's it. Remember I said that company charges $2,500 a month just to produce a newsletter that they don't even deploy. So you can't hire a part-time employee to do all this for between $649 and $40 a month. But Stearns is going to lend you that $35,000. I'd like you to write this down. It's called casefinancing.info. I'll also send it to you in an email. If you want Stearns to finance you, and we're vetted, and they'll finance you, and then you pay them $640 to $940 a month, depending on your credit. That's all. The only difference is going to be your credit score. It'll probably wind up. Now, this is the true story, and it's a reality, and I hate to tell it to you, but not everybody gets approved. So now, it won't cost you anything to find out if they'll approve you, and they'll know within an hour, and it won't hurt you. Now, this is a no obligation, and that's our actual application online. So when you go online to casefinancing.info, that apply button will be flashing, and that's Stearns Bank. That'll take you right to our application on their website. Very easy. There's a copy. Very easy to fill in. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of an incentive here. Napoleon Hill said there are 2 common denominators between millionaires. One, they can make a decision quickly. I'll tell you the second one when you join the program. So to help you make a decision, I'm going to give you $5,000 discount. If you can make a decision by midnight Sunday, I'll give you $5,000 off the $35,000 price, and you'll pay only $30,000. You can join this whenever you want. You can join it now or in December. Next year, it's probably going to be I will be a franchise next year, so it's probably going to be out of range for a lot of chiropractors. But you don't have to have a license to do these audits. Anybody can do them. So, I mean, all my business people and my board of directors says, we need to make this a franchise. And I said, well, chiropractors can't afford it. They said, well, but plenty of entrepreneurs will want to buy it. If you're an entrepreneur and you go to look at all the entrepreneurs and you see all the food, the pizza, the coffee, the donuts, the ice cream, the burgers, the Subways, and they're all $250,000 car washes, and you net 80 grand, they're $250,000. Or you can buy this for $250,000 and make 116 grand with only 3 hours worth a week and only a computer. We're going to sell franchises. This is not my first franchise. I created a decompression franchise that became the second highest rated franchise, medical service franchise in the world, second only to Pearl Vision. I own the highest rated medical service franchise, decompression. It's in 13 different countries. I don't promote it here anymore. It's the second largest medical service franchise in the world, second only to Pearl Vision. So I know how to bring a product to franchise. Well, you have an opportunity now. I'll even save you $5 grand. So what do you need to do? Let me send you your demographic analysis profile. Let me send you the marketing plan so you can see it. Let me send you a copy of the agreement, and you look it over. Take until midnight Sunday. That's the deadline. If you decide this is the right thing for you, then go to stearnsfinancing.info, fill out the application, and submit it. No cost to submit it. It is not an obligation to buy. So it'll get you the $5,000 saving. Now, you're not entering into the agreement by submitting the application. Stearns Bank will have to call you. They'll talk to you. I'll get in touch with you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll answer more questions. We'll talk more. In fact, we're going to start talking more this weekend. I'm going to tell you that to receive the discount, all you have to do is submit the no-obligation application. And then what I'm going to do when I get home is I'm going to send you your market analysis. I'm also going to get you the agreement. I'm also going to get you the marketing plan. You'll have plenty to look at. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you to email me, call me, or text me anything you might want to talk about or discuss. Anything that pops up in the marketing plan, anything that pops up within the agreement, anything about the application, I'm available. I'm going to be available all weekend, specifically to handle your questions and answer your questions. And I encourage that call me about anything, except don't call me between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock tomorrow. Let me watch the Bucks football game. No, you can call. There's my number and there's my email. But I'm going to go home and I'm going to email you. I'm going to email you my number. I'm going to email you a summary. I'm going to say, here's casefinancing.info. I'm going to tell you that when it asks for what is the product you're buying, you call it the Case Electronic Medical Software. I'll put that in the email. I'm going to email you. But I can save you $5 grand if you can make a decision quickly. I don't think it's going to be too hard to make a decision. And if you make it before midnight Sunday and get in your application, what the heck, save $5 grand. You still don't have to buy it. But on Monday, I cannot and will not give you the discount because it's a registered offer designed to be a sign-on bonus for those who can act quickly and go ahead and apply. It's not legal or binding. It's not obligatory. But if you think you want it, might as well get that app in. Now, as much as I hate to tell you this, I've been doing this for a while. 50% of all applicants will be rejected. You know, it's a sad story in our profession. And if Forbes is right and your incomes are in the low six figures, this has got to be a miracle that you could take something within 2 or 3 hours a week, net 116 grand. For $640, $940 a month investment, you can't do this on your own. You can't do it alone. I could charge you that much just for the software or just for that e-bulletin program. I'm actually putting the stamps on the mailer, sending them out for you, deploying, calling, my phone. We're doing all of that in this price. You couldn't get it done or couldn't afford it. So what do we got here? We got, listen, if you're not reaching your goals, it isn't your goal, it's your system. And if you're in personal injury with everybody else, you got to do something that's better or do something that doesn't invite comparison. This fits. It fits a business model. If it fits your dreams, visions, goals, and values, then I'm going to be happy to be a partner with you. And you will be very pleased. If you get it done, you can join us on Thursday at 2 p.m. on our live webinar. Might as well get in and get started because I have to build your website. I got to build your CV. I got to build your bio. I got to get you CLE accredited. I got to get you as a contributing author. We got to design all your marketing, all your assets, and I got to get you registered as a CLE producer. I got to build your attorney list. You might as well get on a program. I can get you a copy of the software the minute Stearns approves you. You could start watching the videos. You could set up your appointment with Peggy. Let her train you. Be on our Thursday webinar. We can get this done by Thursday. You can be started if you're interested in doing this. Now I'm going to do Q&A at this point. First of all, do you understand? If you're interested, go to casefinancing.info, and you'll see everything you need. So just click on that. The application pops up. Very easy. What's the product? It's CASE, electronic medical software, electronic medical record. I'm going to email you a little summary. If you're in, get that application in. I'll save you the $5,000. Your cost will be between $640 and $940. You can discuss that with CASE if you want. If you got great credit, they'll even give you a 3-month or a 6-month deferral. It depends on your credit. All right. What do you say we do Q&A? Anybody want to ask me any questions at this time? If you do, you got to have your mic on, right?
I have a real quick question.
Thank you.
Yep. This is Dan from Oak Creek. Actually, two real quick ones. I border Milwaukee on the south side, so Milwaukee's like 1 mile from me. I don't know if you've used any of the Milwaukee, the 5322 zip codes or not for me. I don't know if those would be included or would need to be included, but Milwaukee's got about a...
All right, well, listen to this. In 53154, you got 34,451 people. In 53132, you got 34,863 people. In 53108, you got 3,329 people. In 53402, you got 33,174 people. Now, that's just people, okay? I got to go ahead now. I don't have the demographic in front of me. I got them at home. It's going to tell me how many lawyers you have in that area, but you may not have 100 lawyers in that area. Then we would go out. We're going to keep extending out, including the Milwaukee area. You'll know this afternoon. We'll know. But I don't have any problem going out there. And Dan, the thing is, it doesn't matter because you're not physically seeing anybody. They don't have to physically send you a patient. So we may have to concentrate more of this in that Milwaukee area, because I'm going to go wherever the accidents are, and that's where. Now, we're going to start with where you are, and those I just mentioned to you. We're going to build an attorney database, and one of the things about that database is you and I are going to go back and forth. And then I'm going to add your attorneys on it, but they're not going to be included in my list. I'm going to add your relationships as an add-on. But I'm going to build this list. We're going to call attorneys. Not all of them are going to want to be in, but the ones that want to be in. Then you're going to see who they are. Then you're going to decide if you want to do business with them. You're going to add the rest, and we're going to see where they are. But I'm going to go ahead and get you 100 attorneys, and I don't have any problem going into Milwaukee. I'll know when I get home, and then after you get your demographic report, if you want to call me back or text me back, call me back, and when I have that information, I can tell you exactly where we're going. Listen, 100 lawyers is enough to get the job done, but if I need to do more, I'll add another 100 at no extra cost. But just that it's going to be hard for you to service 200 lawyers, you know. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm servicing 300 lawyers, 100 in Clearwater, 100 in St. Pete, 100 in Tampa. But I'm big, I'm huge, I wrote it, I know how to do it. But I'm only doing 300 lawyers. I can't handle any more business than that. So 100 is going to keep you pretty busy. No problem going out into Milwaukee. And that's one of the things, we get the map. Some people have a railroad track that messes them up. Some people have a bridge or a river that messes them up. And so when we build this, I build it with you. What you're going to get this afternoon is our initial tentative report for you. It's not built in stone. That's why we call and we work it out. I got one guy in Georgia. We had to go out 30 miles to get 100,000 people. And honest to God, there's a railroad track that goes right through the center of town, and there's a 3-hour freight train. And everybody in the entire 2-hour freight train, everybody in the entire community on both sides of that heck knows. If you got to be on that other side of that track, you better do it by this particular time. In many other communities, where that 2-hour train goes, there's a bridge or a trellis, or it doesn't pass through the center of town. But this podunk town, Well, that auditor, he became a box office hit. He even got an MD and him in the same office, and it's a beautiful construction site. But I've had other people that had a bridge, and the people just won't cross that bridge, you know? So we will customize this when we start talking, you know what I mean? And we'll build this so it works. And it does work, and that's what we're known for. But that's how you build a done for you franchise type territory. So I'm glad you asked about that. I'll have a better discussion with you when I go home and look at that. But yeah, I don't know where we're pulling your lawyers from, but I'll let you know, and you'll know. And then we'll add your lawyers onto the list. And it doesn't matter because, I mean, I'm also servicing people in LA and Dallas because I don't need to be close. It's just all internet, you know? So that was a good question. What else? You said you had another one?
It seems like, I mean, you're offering, webinars and online training and coach and mentor, and so obviously there's a probably a pretty good learning curve to doing this and getting it down to our own science and routine and not skipping steps and all of that. How long realistically, as we put good energy into this and the time into it, where you would say, all right, from what you've known and what you've been taught and trained, now you can take on cases and start doing them accurately so that we can start impressing lawyers and getting paid for that work.
3 hours. Now, let me explain something to you. Before COVID, I was in a different city every month doing personal injury training, where I would train doctors in the injury model. And I would have to train them on how to use monofilaments to do sensory impairment because a pinwheel is not admissible. I would have to train them on how to do electronic muscle testing, electronic range of motion, and nerve conduction velocity, how to read MRIs, how to do the AOMSI analysis, how to use the inventories, how to do the injury model. The injury model is an 8-page exam. And I didn't tell you this, but when I was in early practice, the governor wrote a law called the verbal threshold, prevented lawsuits for whiplash, and it worked. No whiplash. People lost everything. I mean, I had 3 counties, 19 offices, all 7-figure PI practices, just shut me down. And ironically, the lawyers fought this and lost. They appealed it and lost. Then it went to the Supreme Court. And I became the expert medical witness at the Supreme Court. My cousin Tommy was a state senator. He took me to Washington. I met some people. Congress issued a directive to the Secretary of Health and Human Services to create a system where all adjudicators could arrive at the same conclusion regarding injuries. And it was called the Comprehensive Injury Index. That's where it said everybody's got to do impairments, use table formatting. I wrote the book. Nobody would let me be the expert because I was a chiropractor, not a real doctor. So then I went to Barnes & Noble. I bought every book I could on positional marketing and perceptual marketing. And that's how I learned positional marketing. I was able to reposition myself into the center of the map. I resent out marketing to the Trial Lawyer Association president, National Trial Lawyer Association president, American Trial Lawyer Association president, New Jersey State Trial Lawyer Association president, Young Lawyers Division president. And the very next day, they hired me as the medical expert. And I overturned the ruling at the Supreme Court, and I showed threshold injuries can overcome the threshold. And I introduced you today to some of those threshold injuries. Now, the threshold injury I beat the Supreme Court with was called AOMSI. Have you ever heard of AOMSI?
I have. I use a company that does the CRMA for me for probably 20 years now. So.
Well, I was a 25% owner of Spinal Kinetics. Was it them?
Yes.
Yeah, I was a 25% owner. And we went on doing seminars together. And I said, listen, man, I don't want you dinging my guy's cases $450, right? So I said, I want to make it cheap. If you guys don't make it cheap, I'm going to open my own company. So I opened DRMA, and it's an improved version. And it's got my reports, my exhibits, my statements of undisputed fact, my animations. You can't beat me. You know, I blew those guys away. And I'm personal friends with Steve Brownstein and Jeff and all those guys. And Joe before he died. And we toured the country together and had good times together. And I said, so if you go to DRMA, you pay $99, but you can bill the insurance company $540, and you can put $440 in your pocket. How do you like that idea?
And actually, that will have answered my third question that I had, was just about switching needs, and if you had heard of I don't
Because
think
they're dinging your insurance $450, right?
Yep.
And you
Right.
can't. And what are you going to do with an audit when you need to send X-rays out? They, they'll mess the whole thing up if they ding 450. The lawyer will get all pissed off.
Yep. Right.
Now, now listen. In the $1,500 that you get paid, right? The lawyer's going to prepay that. So you take $100 out and send the X-rays in. Now you got $1,400, right?
Yep.
Now you got to get that court stamp, right? You got to get that stamp from the courts. Otherwise you're never going to win. Now, there's two companies that'll put that stamp on there. One of them will do a 9-point validation, and we do a 60-point validation. That company charges $1,950, and they take about a month. We charge $250, and it takes about 5 days. So you're going to take $250 out to get that stamp and $100 out. So you're taking $350 out of the $1,500, right? That's why you're grossing $152, but you're netting $119. But that money doesn't come out of your pocket. That's prepaid. Now, you wouldn't want to take $450 out to pay Spinal Kinetics. That's a lot of money, you know?
Yep.
And they ding the case, and the lawyer's not going to like that. And when you audit these cases, they're already maximized. So there's no more liens or anything. So you need a place, but you can send all your clients to DRMA. Go to drmapro.com and check them out. That is my company, by the way, but anyway. I told Jeff and Steve, I said, I want my doctors to make money. So you charge $99 and you bill $540. You make $440. Now, I'll tell you something else about that as well. That program, the only 2 times I've cried in the last decade were when my father died and when I was running DRMA. I couldn't handle it. And for $99, there's no profit and it isn't worth it. So what I did was I gave it away to a very close friend of mine. I no longer own it, but I run it and I operate it. Everything comes to me, but I can't. That thing was a heartache, but I only offer it to my clients. It's not a service any chiropractor can use. You got to be one of my clients. This is private for $99. Anyway, you're going to take that $99 from the lawyer's $1,500, and we're going to set up. By the way, we're going to set up a payment portal on your new website, so the lawyers will prepay you right online. They could use PayPal, whatever the hell they want. We can connect it up to your credit card, merchant account, or PayPal. But you're going to have an online portal. They're going to upload their files real easy, make the payment real easy, and you'll be able to use that radiographic service. And in fact, you can use it on all your X-rays because you can bill it $540. By the way, if you want to do INV on your actual personal injury patients, the insurance company will pay $450 for it. You pay $250, so you can even make $200 doing that. You can make $440. Do you do electronic muscle testing now in your patients?
I used to, but I don't do that right now.
Well, it's the only way to get an impairment rating, from AMA, and it's $600 a PI case. $600. So if you can pull it out of the closet and fire it back up, and I'll show you how to bill and code that a little bit later. If you're using pinwheels, you can't rate an impairment for sensory. You have to use monofilaments. We sell them for $52 a set. I sell $10,000 NCVs for $1,100 reconditioned. You can bill it under your license. They pay $450. It's the most unequivocal evidence of all. Now, you ask me how long it takes. If I were teaching you my personal injury exam system, freaking take forever. But this, 3 hours. So if I ever decide to get back on the road again and teach personal injury, you can come to that program and you'd be a damn expert in the exam process. For now, you're going to catch all this stuff by defaulting and meeting our members, and then they're going to get together with you and keep giving you secrets as we go. But I'm only here to teach you audits. I'll get you. You can get my 8-page exam form for free just by downloading it, and then there's a tutorial video of me, 90 minutes, how to do the 119-1M exam. 90-minute video of me teaching it. If you want to really learn all that, you can learn that extra. But for audits, I need 3 hours. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And that includes this. I need to build you a new CV and I need to build you a new bio because I can't get your CLE credits probably with what you got. So I'm going to need you to fill out. I'm going to have to send you stuff, and you're going to have to fill out, and then we're going to build it from there. So probably that's all into 3 hours as well, you know. Now, one of the videos is 90 minutes. The other video is 60 minutes, and then your time with Peggy is unlimited. But let's say you got to go through probably an hour with her. So an hour video, an hour Peggy, and 90 minutes, that's 3.5 hours, and that should conclude it all.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you what I tell my people about Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Listen, man, if you can't carve out 1 hour, 1 day a week out of your schedule, then you need to take our business management course, our time management course. Okay? You should be able to get a patient to come an hour earlier or an hour later. You're the boss. You're the owner. If you want to take off from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock every Thursday, you got to be able to do it. So I picked that time because that's the most applicable for everybody. But, I mean, you're going to make more money in that 1 hour than treating anybody. So just, get yourself in a position where you can give yourself that 1 hour. Now, we obviously record these things, and I put them up online, but there's nothing like being live and getting in on the chat, so on and so forth, okay? So every Thursday, and if you're going to get in this program, do it so you can get on that chat this Thursday. Now, as you develop more questions, I need you to text me and call me the rest of the weekend, because I don't expect you to not have more as you read through more material. I think the agreement's pretty easy. No one has ever had a problem filling it out or anything like that, but if you got anything or any question, I want it to be favorable. This is a charter. It's not the franchise. So the good news is we completed the charter, the beta, in July. So I don't need anything else. All the people that were on initially, they really toughed through it. They fed back. They gave me feedback. I mean, they really worked through it, and that's one of the reasons I discounted it. But at this point, it's a done deal, but you still get that savings because I don't know how chiropractors are going to be able to buy it, but I'm in a franchise business, so my franchise is going to net 6 figures, and that's going to put it at 3 times the net rate. So it's going to be a $250,000 franchise, and I'm going to compete with all those other $250,000 franchises that can only generate 80 grand. You see where I'm coming from, right? So congratulations to all those that get in on it. The chiropractors that got trained by me, they're in an elite group. That's a serious level, 1191M exam. I beat the Supreme Court by doing the 1191M exam on that person and by showing the courts that they had AOMSI. At that time, AOMSI had a 6% whole person impairment and it was worth $2,000. Third edition, now we're at the 4th, 5th, and 6th edition, and now it's a 25% whole person impairment, 25% whole person impairment, $66,000 value. I am the chiropractor who established the presence of AOMSI in the 3rd edition guides. Most people didn't even know about it until 2012, So I went way back. So now what happened was the day after I beat the Supreme Court, Allstate hired me to help them decide if they should buy Colossus. Colossus was created by Computer Science Corporation, commissioned by the state of Australia, because Australia pays the bodily injury payments. In the United States, the insurers pay it. Australia wanted to cut back on their payouts, so they hired Computer Science Corporation to build Colossus. Allstate hired me to determine if they should buy it. They bought it, migrated to America. When I found out that they only wanted to use the contained costs, I quit, and I've been fighting Allstate for 27 years. And they've subpoenaed me many times and stuff. But everything's looking good, running good. I got a lot of history in this. I've been around for a while. And heck, I've been doing 7 figures since the 80s, early 80s. So in personal injury alone. So, and now that I told you this is supposed to double between 2025 and now due to autonomous car. I don't know if you've ever rented an autonomous car. I rented one once, and that thing almost got me into 3 accidents. Great. It braked on its own. It steered on its own. What the hell is this? I didn't know how to turn it off. So 84% of accidents are going to be attributed to robocars from now on into the future. And that's just excellent for us. By the way, autonomous cars won't work until 2045. Estimates are that we're not going to have enough Gs, and 5Gs can't run them. So we're not going to have enough until 2045. So good time to be in personal injury. Plus, third-party independent insurance. You don't have to worry about Medicare. You don't have to worry about lawyers cutting your fees, and you don't have to worry about anybody denying payments. It's a good place to be. Anybody else got any questions, or do you have any more, or where are we at? Let me see.
I'm good.
All right. Well, you probably get some more, and I hope you do, and I hope you get them every week. With the lawyers now that have come to me and said they could never consider doing it any other way, You know what they told me? They said, I don't want to wait till the audit. I want to start from the beginning. How do I get the inventory to my patients before they get treated? How do I get these diagnostics done so I don't have to backtrack it? How do I add the diagnoses? How do I get my doctors to do impairment ratings? I said, you can't. Doctors just aren't doing it. And you know that because you're probably not even doing most of this. So we have the unique value proposition. I said, you got to do something, you got to do it better, or do it so you don't even invite comparison. If I'm protecting your territory, you own it, that's it. So that's a good relationship. That's how it works for everybody. That's how it's fair. Now, one last thing, just so you consider my point. I already don't want to take any more people on because my charter's done, my beta's done. And I had a guy who wants to buy this in Atlanta. I said, I can't do it for 35 grand. So I didn't sell it to him. I had another guy that wanted to buy in a primary. I said, I can't. I have to wait until it's a franchise. So congratulations to all of us for being entrepreneurs and astute businessmen. But we're onto something pretty big here. We really are. Different than anything you've heard. Am I right? Just different than anything you've heard before?
Definitely.
But that's good because we talked earlier and we know that when people create problems for us, they also create opportunities for us. Let me just say one other thing. Before COVID, I was teaching my personal injury seminar, and that went until 8 o'clock Saturday and 5 o'clock Friday, and I wore people out, you know. We did demonstrations on how to do NCVs and muscle testing and range of motion electronically, how to do monofilaments, how to do nerve testing, how to read MRI. It was grueling. And COVID, and so then I said, well, you know what? I'm never going to be able to do seminars again. I can do streamings, and you notice it's a good streaming. This is not an at-home Zoom. This is a studio. And I said, I'm going to do it right. And that's what made me bring audits to the public. I wasn't bringing audits out. I was the only one doing them. Now I got a bunch of people doing them. And I don't ever want to go back to teaching that personal injury because, number one, I'm 69 years old. Number two, COVID gave me a chance to use my yacht. I'm here in beautiful, beautiful Florida. I got a bunch of convertibles. I got a beautiful yacht. I don't want to go back on the road and do that crap anymore. So I'm just doing this, and I love doing this. Only one day a month I do this, and then I just do the webinars every week. But I'm in front of attorneys always and educating them and speaking with them, and we got it, man. It's a pretty good program. I can't wait to unleash this. Now, I only have 7,000 attorneys in our network, and I have Richard Hastings out of Connecticut's got 6,000. I've got Gary Solomon out of Jersey. These are the guys that were with me at the Supreme Court level, and they've written books with me, and they've got 6,000. We're ready to bring on 12,000 more attorneys. But I want to wait until I franchise it, so I've got franchises all around, places for these 12,000 people to go. Certainly Milwaukee will be one of them, you know. So listen, normally I'm done at 12, would you believe it? I don't know what the hell happened today, but I'm glad you stayed with me, and I always like to disseminate. I know it's unfair when you don't get to talk to me, and excuse me for doing that, but it was a good day. Always a good day to learn something, and I hope this meets with your goals, your visions, your values, and your dreams, and that I hear from you. But if you think you might want to do it, the key is please don't come to me Monday and Tuesday and ask me to give you the discount because it's registered, and I can't. But I can give it to you up to midnight. So I'm going to send you your demographic. I'm going to send you the agreement. I'm going to send you the marketing book. I'm going to send you an email which tells you casefinancing.info, how to go up there online. And I'm going to send all that to you when I get home, about 2 hours. And you got the weekend to look it over. And when you think that this is the right thing, might as well save the $5,000 and go ahead and submit your application. You can change your mind after you submit it, but you can't get the discount if you wait until Monday. So by midnight Sunday, get it in. Call me, text me with any questions throughout the weekend. And even after you get it in, you're not obligated. And keep in mind, that 50% will be rejected. That's a pretty sad state of affairs, but that's the way it is. And so I hope it's not you. When I was doing live seminars, I would tell you, look at the guy on your left, look at the guy on your right, and if he's smiling, then it's you that's going to get rejected, you know? But let's hope you pass through, because if you do, I'm sure $640 to $940 a month is absolutely affordable for everything you get in return in exchange for this, and you can get started As soon as Stearns gives us the word, you'll get a link to open the software. Watch the 90-minute video, then watch a 60-minute video, then call Peggy and get with her for 60 minutes. Answer our questions so we can build your profiles, your website, your CV, your bio, get your attorney list going, get you CLE accredited, get you up on that contributory author status. Little work for all of us in the beginning, but once we get through it, man, it's rock and roll from that point on. Are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, let me salute you, all of you, because if you're on this today, then you're solution-oriented. And I learned something. I learned, I had a radio show also called Best Talk, Straight Talk about your health. And, man, it was a hot show that I had, and I loved it. And I learned from that, you can take people's time or you can take their money. But when you take people's time, you take a part of their lives. So I just really want to thank you for giving me your time and a part of your life today and for letting me give you mine. Salute you for being solution-oriented. I hope to hear from you over the weekend. I hope you're in the program. I'm Dr. Frank Liberti. I want to be your partner, so let's get going with this. Fair enough?
Thanks for everything.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I'll be hearing from you over the weekend, I'm sure. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.